a chocolate maker, and more. That's not all. You will learn about our culture, explore musical instruments, symbols, and cloth, learn all about Kente, gather around and listen to our folk tales and discover the interesting history behind our stories.
Wow, this show is really informative.
Yeah! We'll also have fun experiments. Whoa! And lots of art activities.
Look at my spider.
So beautiful.
You definitely don't want to miss the Wonder Space Show with Miss Natalie.
Wonder Space!
Watch the Wonder Space Show on Saturdays at 12 noon only on Channel 1 TV.
Hello, good morning. This is the big issue on 97.3 City FM and also on Channel 1 television. It is your platform for incisive analysis and riveting conversation. My name is Selorm Adonoo. The show, as always, is live and interactive. You can join us via our WhatsApp number 020-444-7033 or 0549-986-996. I will be happy to share your views with the rest of the world. This morning or this week has particularly been momentous. A number of high-profile things have happened this week. In the middle of the week, the Office of the Special Prosecutor addressed a press conference where he declared former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta a wanted man and a fugitive from justice. This came as a surprise to many, as, of course, Ken Ofori-Atta has always been in the country and there was no indication of him being investigated. Special prosecutor said it has started investigation on about 4 high-profile things, including the SML, National Cathedral, the ECG, and some matters of national importance. But Ken Ofori-Atta was nowhere to be found, and Ken Ofori-Atta could not be invited and could not present himself for questioning. Ken Ofori-Atta is out of the country on seeking medical attention. Indeed, we have information that he had written to the former chief of staff and also written to the present chief of staff, informing them of his whereabouts, and so that should they at any point in time require his presence, they may know where he is. He is in the United States seeking medical attention. There was some correspondence between the Office of the Special Prosecutor and Ken Ofori-Atta's lawyers. The OSP will not have any of that and went ahead to declare him a fugitive from justice. We will look at all of that and see why the Office of the Special Prosecutor indeed wants to speak to Ken Ofori-Atta, why he wants him and what the matters are, and whether his declaration of the man as a wanted person can be justified, whether indeed he's a fugitive of justice and all of that. We'll deal with that in some great detail. But before even the OSP's address, the day before, there was a raid in Ken Ofori-Atta's house. The OSP described that as an imposter action to court public sympathy for Ken Ofori-Atta. Indeed, the special prosecutor said their intelligence suggested that he staged that particular raid, but later only to realize that national security was also interested in the person of Ken Ofori-Atta, and so that raid was actually orchestrated by national security. Where did the Office of the Special Prosecutor's intelligence come from? That appears now to have been misplaced or at best inaccurate. We will look at that in some detail. Also, the Attorney General, a day after, also addressed, in fact, in the evening, addressed the press on some high-profile cases. He entered nolle prosequi on some of those cases and for others, he withdrew the charges against those persons. But those persons were high-level NDC officials who served in the past John Mahama administration. He said that some of those cases could not be mounted or prosecuted in good conscience. He said some were politically motivated, and for some, the charges were defective. And as an Attorney General, he says he could not lead in investigating those, so he had to drop the charges. But the MPP is not enthused about that. Indeed, former Attorney General Godfrey Dami just yesterday also addressed the press and said that the dropping of those cases was to whitewash the past officials of the NDC, and that was not synonymous with the accountability that the NDC had preached. There were some personal jabs here and there between AG Ayeni and former AG Godfrey Dami, but that's for another day. If there is time, we'll also look at the matter of the revocation of appointments or recruitments into the public sector. The Chief of Staff has served notice asking all heads of department to send those people home, those people employed between December 7 after the election and January 7 when the new government took over. We understand thousands of people were employed into the public sector at the time. Why was it necessary to appoint such many people into the public sector in just 1 month? The counter argument is why not? Because government is a continuum, and the tenure of the government concluded at the midnight of 6 January. And once they were a legitimate government in place, they could do what they did by employing people. We'll look at the analysis and the discussions here and there, but I'll be happy once again to hear from you on 020-444-7033. I'll take a short break, I'll return, provide some updates, introduce my guest, and then we'll have the conversation started. This is a big issue. My name is Selorm Adonoo. Don't go away.
March, we invite you to splash in the pool of cultural expressivity and soak yourself in the celebration of indigenous authenticity in our Heritage Month. Join us for the Heritage Month launch on Friday, February 28th, as we kick off a month of unforgettable experiences. Pack your bags for the Heritage Caravan, a week-long adventure across Ghana from March the 2nd to the 9th. Discover the beauty and history of our land. Savor the flavors at the Back to Your Village Food Festival, a culinary extravaganza on March 29th and 30th. Taste the essence of Ghana. Tune in to the Heritage On Air series on 97.3 CDFM and Channel 1 TV. Feel the rhythm of our music, journey through our religious history, and indulge in indigenous Ghanaian food. Join us to celebrate our heritage this Heritage Month, where every moment is a story. Only on Channel 1 TV and 97.3 CDFM.
Of their labors, toils of the brave, which have brought results.
This year, something magical is happening. A celebration of tradition, flavor, and community. Welcome to the Back to Your Village Food Festival 2025.
Taste the heart of your heritage with mouth-watering dishes from across the country, like Ademe with Akple, Tozafi with Ayoyo soup, Kokonte, Apopranta, Rare Quine, and many more. From rich spices to sweet treats, it's a journey for your senses. We're taking you back to your village.
Oh yes, let's recreate our age-old recipes.
But it's not just about food, you know. We're celebrating culture, connecting with family, and making memories that last a lifetime.
This March, let's come together and discover the flavors that make us who we are. The date is 29th and 30th of March 2025. The venue, Accra Metropolitan Assembly, and the time is 10 a.m. through till 6 p.m. each day.
The Back to Your Village Food Festival 2025, where food, fun, and tradition meet.
Interested vendors should call 0558 973 973 or 0205 973 973 to register.
The Backyard Village Food Festival 2025 is powered by Channel 1 TV with support from 97.3 City FM.
You're welcome back. This is the Big Issue, your platform for incisive analysis and riveting conversation. My name is Selorm Adonoo. This week, today, 3 things we are doing, all related in a way. The special prosecutors declared Ken Ofori-Atta wanted and a fugitive of justice. Prior to that declaration, Ofori-Atta's house was raided by persons we now know were or are operatives of the national security. OSP says he knew nothing about it, and that at best, it was staged to make Ken Ofori-Atta look good and have caught public sympathy because he was being investigated. The majority in Parliament subsequently have apologized to Ken Ofori-Atta for the raid. They said it was not in good taste. Now, AG has also been providing reasons why he discontinued or dropped some charges against some officials, past officials of the NDC. High-profile cases, charges dropped, an indication from the AG that some of the cases were politically motivated and he could not in good conscience continue prosecuting those cases. Former Attorney General Godfrey Dame has responded, saying that the dropping of the cases was to whitewash the NDC officials. A number of things have happened this week. Also, the Chief of Staff has served notice that all recruitments done after December 7 should be revoked, or appointments after January 7 should be revoked. That is causing a lot of consternation in some circles. We will look at all of that. But before that, it's been a busy week, starting with the reported raid of the former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta's home to the special prosecutor, subsequently declaring him as a fugitive of justice. The Attorney General, Dr. Dominic Ayeni, has also been explaining reasons for dropping certain criminal cases involving former NDC government officials, but former Attorney General Godfrey Dame has been hitting back. In Parliament, the minority leader has been also raising concerns over the directive to terminate recruitment or appointments by the Etoile government after the December 7 election. Let's start with the former Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, because the Office of the Special Prosecutor declared him a wanted man after he said he's repeatedly failed to honor invitations to him for questioning. Ofori-Atta is under investigation for alleged corruption and corruption-related offenses in connection with the SML GRA case, the National Cathedral Project, and 2 other transactions. Channel 1 News' Hansen Ajiman has more in this report.
For the past 3 years, the OSP has been investigating a series of government transactions linked to Ken Ofori-Atta. Following these inquiries, the office formally designated him as a suspect in cases involving the SML GRA deal, the National Cathedral Project, and other financial matters.
Contractual arrangements between Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited and the Ghana Revenue Authority for the stated objective of the enhancement of revenue assurance in the downstream petroleum sector, upstream petroleum production, and minerals and metals resources value chain. 2. Termination of a distribution, loss reduction, and associated network improvement project contract between the Electricity Company of Ghana Limited and Beijing Xiaochen Technology BXC. 3. Procurement of contractors and materials and activities and payments in respect of the National Cathedral Project. 4. activities and payments in respect of a contract awarded by the Ministry of Health, initially commenced by the Ministry for Special Development Initiatives to Service Ghana Auto Group Limited for purchases and after-sales service and maintenance of 307 Mercedes-Benz Sprinter 305 CDI ambulances for the National Ambulance Service. And 5, payments out of and utilization of the tax refund account of Ghana Revenue Authority.
According to Special Prosecutor Kisi Jaben, Ofori-Atta left the country around January 2, 2025 and has since failed to return, citing indefinite medical reasons. However, Jaben says communications between the OSP and Ofori-Atta's legal team indicate that these claims were deceptive.
The purported medical letter transmitted by Mr. Ofori-Atta through his lawyers to the OSP represents a medical report to the effect that Mr. Ofori-Atta is incapacitated or is so sickly and invalid to the extent that he is physically unable to return to the jurisdiction without imperiling his life. No serious law enforcement agency, and certainly not the OSP, will be convinced that the purported medical letter stops it from demanding the physical appearance of Mr. Ofori-Atta before it in the described circumstances. We are of the firm conviction here that this is only a ruse employed by Mr. Ofori-Atta in aid of his intention to avoid returning to the jurisdiction.
At a press conference, the special prosecutor warned that Ofori-Atta must return voluntarily or risk being extradited as a fugitive.
The OSP declares Kenneth Nanaya Ofori-Atta a wanted person. He is a fugitive from justice. The OSP will take all necessary legal steps to secure his return to the jurisdiction and attendance at the OSP. And this is to Mr. Ofori-Atta. You have two choices. You can either return to the jurisdiction voluntarily or the OSP will enforce your return.
Jaben also denied any involvement or prior knowledge of the recent raid on Ofori-Atta's residence in cantonments.
Mr. Ofori-Atta, the OSP did not raid your house on Tuesday, 11 February 2025 or on any other day. Mr. Ofori-Atta, the OSP did not cause any persons, however uniformed or bedecked, to raid your house on Tuesday, 11 February 2025 or on any other day. Mr. Ofori-Atta, that could not have been the OSP, and that is not our style. If the OSP enters your premises, you will not be in doubt as to whether it was the OSP that had come there, and your lawyers will not have cause to do an inquiry ascertaining whether it was the OSP. Our intelligence points us to state that the purported raid on Mr. Ofori-Atta's residence was staged, or at best, an imposter action in an attempt to court disfavor for the OSP and to derail the investigation.
Meanwhile, the OSP provided updates on ongoing investigations into the Minerals Income Investment Fund and the National Petroleum Authority. In response, former MPA CEO Mustafa Abdul Hamid, who has been named in an alleged embezzlement case, took to Facebook to deny knowledge of any investigations. He also expressed his willingness to cooperate with the investigations.
All right, so you're welcome back. So that's a report put together by Hansen Ejiman, chronicling the happenings of the week. This morning, my guests are the Abraham Amaliba, now Director General of the National Road Safety Authority, and of course former. So are you a former now, Director of Conflict Resolution of the NDC, or you are combining the two?
I'm combining the two.
Okay, he's combining the two
until there's a change.
Until there's a change. So he is the Director of Conflict Resolution of the NDC and newly minted Director General of the National Road Safety Authority. We'll get to that. And the Honorable John Darkon, Member of Parliament for Swami. Big shoe he's wearing, but he's doing well in the shoe. At least I can say that one. We'll have Nia Ayuko too at some point in the program, and of course Franklin Kujo, President Imani Africa. These are my guests for this morning. Gentlemen, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you for having us.
This week particularly has been very loaded. A number of things have happened this week. But let me start off with you, Mr. Amaliba. Congratulations on your new role.
Thank you.
National Road Safety Authority.
Thank you.
And we are happy that you are there. So, I mean, have you started work? Have you reported? Have you begun anything yet?
Well, I reported 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
And if you were watching the news, you would have seen me touring some parts of the roads in Accra. Actually focus on footbridges.
Okay.
Because when I took over office, I realized that there were a lot of pedestrian knockdowns in the country. And I thought that we need to focus on footbridges to see what is happening in Accra. Then I also focus on road markings. I saw that most of them were not visible and some were not there at all. And then what they call zebra crossings.
Okay.
So those were the three things I went out to look at. We have the power to, as it were, issue compliance notices. You know, we are a regulator. It's an authority which regulates the use of the road and how to make it safe, education on how to use the roads. And so I also met Okada riders somewhere along the road. So what I intend to do is to activate the laws. The only tool I have as a lawyer is to activate the laws and to ensure that there's discipline in the road. So two things are high on my agenda: to reduce pedestrian indiscipline, and then driver indiscipline. If we get these two right, we'll reduce a lot of our road accidents. There are also mechanical problems. There are also poor street lighting. But I just want to focus on these two, which is our own pedestrian indiscipline. Sometimes some of us, we those who also walk, are indisciplined. People don't know that. Jaywalking, for instance, you're not supposed to cross somewhere. That's where you cross, and then you go and scale over the bridge. There's always in the middle of the road that
rails,
concrete. You scale over. That's indiscipline. Then we also have driver indiscipline, which you all know. So I just want to focus on these two, and then we can reduce accidents.
So that's great. So driver indiscipline, pedestrian indiscipline. Yes. How about the state itself, street lights, etc.?
Exactly. So those are the ones I talked about. I'll start issuing compliance notices. So, for instance, I'll issue compliance notices to ECG if they fail to provide the street lights. The law empowers me to do that. Because when we pay our lights bill, there's a component of the street lights. Where is it? Why are you not providing it? Or do you want us to pass a law and you directly give that money to us so that we can do the street lighting? We'll discuss all those things. Highways, urban roads, and then feeder roads. All these people have a role to play. And that's where I was talking about, if need be, then we'll begin to issue compliance notices.
You mentioned Okada. You had a meeting with the Okada people.
Yeah, the Okada is because we intend to, it will soon come to Parliament.
To regularize.
Repeal the portion that says that it's illegal to, you know, a delegation will go to Rwanda. There are two countries, I'm told, have done this perfectly. Rwanda and Dubai. And we are built to go to Rwanda to study their case case, and then come and implement it here. So
because that'll be a big one.
Yes.
And of course, in the campaign, you guys talked about regulating it, and some of us were wondering what the regulation would be. Whether you restrict them from certain parts of the city, and what they can do and what they cannot do. Because if we are to allow all of them into the city center, that would be quite chaotic.
That will be part of it. So they studied that from Rwanda. We are going to actually train them. They already know how to ride motors. We're not going to say that we're going to train them how to ride motors, but we're going to train them on how to use the road safety. Some of them be meandering, you know, the vehicles when there's traffic. Those things will stop. And
so they also have to be in traffic. Then there will be no point. Because we use them because we say they are faster. So if there's traffic and you let them stay in traffic too, then
training will deal with all those things.
Okay.
We'll identify them with uniforms.
Oh, they wear uniforms?
Yes. We'll identify them with a specific number plate, and that will be for DVLA to deal with that. So we are going to put them on apps. So that when they are moving, you can trail them to see
that's digitalization.
Yeah, digitalization would take all those things.
I see. All right, great to hear that things are happening and you are on the ball.
Road safety will be a household name.
I see. And so we'll hope that accident cases will reduce drastically. So that when it's approaching Christmas, we'll not be worried that there will be huge accident cases. Great. Happy to hear that there are things happening or things you have on your plate. Yes.
Maybe I can
sure. Let me hear you say a few things.
For his appointment. Of course, they campaigned for this and they've won. So they are sharing the post. I'm happy that he has gotten something. Because there are so many of the NDC guys out there who are crying. Some of them have come to me complaining that they are not getting anything at all. So
you should go intervene for them.
I'm happy for.
But your mama says you don't have to get a post to contribute.
Well, but at least some of them have approached some of us. They are not happy, but he is lucky to have gotten one. I hope that he will make it count. In fact, I was happy about one thing he said. And I want to believe that that's what he will do. That he will concentrate on two. Look, you can't do everything.
Yeah.
Now, I believe one of the things you do as a country is that at any point in time, you concentrate on one thing. If you concentrate on one thing and do it very well, it will make a lot of difference. If you issue compliance notice to ECG and they don't bring the street lights, what would you do, for instance? So our advice, my brother, that really concentrate and put your energies on the things that are within your control. Okay? So the driver and pedestrian indiscipline, I think, is very important. So if for your 4 years you're able to bring discipline to the drivers and the pedestrians, I believe that you will be remembered as a good chief executive officer. So I wish you well. I wish you well. As for the Okada, we'll wait for the bill to come to Parliament, and then we'll see what we can do about it.
All right, now I'm informed there's Vitus Azim on the phone. We have to deal with him quickly because on his way out. Hello, Vitus Azim. Good morning. Welcome to the program. Vitus Azim is an anti-corruption crusader. This week has been quite interesting, and for you as an anti-corruption person, I'm sure you looked at the week with a lot of interest. I think it started off with Ghana dropping in the Transparency International's CPI, Corruption Perception Index, and then we saw the Office of the Special Prosecutor, or before that we saw the raid on former Finance Minister's house, Office of the Special Prosecutor declaring Kenneth Ofori-Atta wanted. We saw the AG as well coming up to explain the reasons why he dropped some cases, and also Godfrey Dame coming to also share his views on all of that. In the middle somewhere, the president directed the NIB to begin looking at the National Service Authority scandal, the ghost names, about 81,000 of them. So for you as an anti-corruption person, I'm sure you'd have looked at this week with so much interest.
Yes, I have looked at it with interest and expectation. It's not enough for these things to just come up, but they should be willing to follow to their logical conclusions. Where money has to be recovered, the money is recovered. They have to prosecute them. Yes, corruption. But as for the drop in the CPI, it remains stagnant for some time, and then this side has even dropped by 1 point. Unfortunately, if I were doing the assessment myself, I would have given it a much lower score than 42. Because from the newspaper report, the media reports and all that, there was so much rot that led us to this economic crisis. And so it dropped by just one percentage point is not enough, not necessarily. But all these things they have brought, I mean that we need to pick up more stress about social development.
I see. So just to take your take on the special prosecutor's description and characterization of former finance minister as a wanted man, given the circumstances of the case, we understand he invited him on January 24 or so, and then just this week he's declaring him wanted. Do you think he has exhausted the avenues open to him before getting to this conclusion?
Well, I am not a lawyer, so I don't know the process that you are supposed to go through before declaring somebody a fugitive. But he is convinced that he has gone through the necessary processes before declaring him a fugitive. Sometimes it's important that we do things right so that we don't go and get stuck at the court. So I just want to hope that he has gone through the necessary process. Otherwise, we are going to run into problems. Besides, the country is in. We may not have that cooperation with them or them to repatriate the person to the country. So that could be another challenge that he would face. having said that, at least it's a step in the right direction. Although people have said that the delay in this declaration, or even the failure to arrest him when he was still in Ghana, could probably be interpreted as a deliberate attempt to allow the man to escape. And he probably left because he heard that they were possibly going to arrest him. And so these are some of the things that you probably need to look at.
I see. But of course, people have said there was a delay and all of that. Maybe the office of the special prosecutor was putting its case together, because you don't want to invite somebody when you don't have a proper handle over the things. It's now that he's ready, and it's now that he's inviting him. Can't we justify the late invitation with this?
Well, we can justify the late invitation on this, but it is now a hurdle because with the delay, you cannot get him back to his country if there are obstacles. That is the only point that I'm making. I'm not saying that they shouldn't have gone ahead to declare him a fugitive, but I'm just saying that if we had been faster, maybe we would have been able to prevent him from going out of the country. We could have at least gotten a high court, a court injunction, a restraining order for him not to travel. Whilst we are carrying out the investigations.
I see. So in one breath, we are trying to exact accountability, and in another breath, the Attorney General dropped cases against some persons who are undergoing trial for their supposed roles in some matters. What's your thought on that? I mean, in one breath, we are going after people. In another breath, we are letting people off the hook.
I think there are two aspects to this thing. One is that any new person coming into an office will have to look at many issues and decide which are worth pursuing and which are not. So I believe that the Attorney General would have studied the dockets and decided that there was no need to pursue some of these cases, especially for some of the cases that lasted 4, 5, 6, 7 years. The prosecution couldn't prove anything against them. How would a new person come in who probably doesn't even believe in the evidence provided come out and defend them, prosecute them successfully? So that's one aspect. But of course, these are politically exposed persons belonging to the ruling party. So it is also a fair competition, a fair to conclude maybe because they are their party, they decided to do it. And that's why pressure was put on the Attorney General to come out and give justification for his action. And so it is said that he can just say he doesn't have enough evidence to prosecute. And we have nothing to say because the law doesn't even ask that he provide justification for withdrawing from a case. But I don't agree with some of his justification for withdrawing, I think, 2 cases. That's ethical issues because he was involved in them. He didn't find necessary. I think that was wrong because the Attorney General's office is an office. It's not an individual. The Attorney General is the head. But then the Attorney General can recuse himself from any case if there's a possible conflict of interest. That's why he has a deputy Attorney General. That's why he has a lot of prosecutors in the office. So he could have just allowed the matter to be pursued by his workers, not to just say that because of that. In fact, when you say that it's even more serious, say because you try to defend them and you succeed, now that you have a chance to release them, you release them. I think that's not fair.
I see. Wait, so which 2 cases are you talking about? You said you have issues with 2 cases.
Well,
dropped.
I cannot tell you now, but he mentioned that there were 2 cases because he himself was.
Yes, the Ofosampofu case and then the Atuforcing case.
Yes. So because of that, he finds it necessary to drop them for his ethical case. Reasons. And I'm saying that if that's the only reason why they dropped the case, I think it's not right. Because there are other people in his office that could have pursued this.
Yeah, I think the point he made in respect of the Atuforcing one was that we all saw the circumstances surrounding that one, the AG engaging one of the accused persons and all of that. He felt those were unethical matters and there was no way he was going to sit on those matters, or there was no way he was going to see those things through. In any case, the Court of Appeal had made a determination of it. It's been appealed. He said he thought it was not necessary to appeal that matter and all of that. And he said that even right from that day, he said it was a face-saving measure, and he's not changed his mind in respect of that. So it does appear that that had almost run its course, even though the appellate processes, hadn't been exhausted.
Yeah, so that was, that's why I said most of these things, the first justification said that you don't have enough evidence to continue to prosecute the matter.
Very well.
Sure. But the ethical issues, if only they involved him, I think that was not right.
Very well. Thank you so much, Mr. Vitus Azim, as always, for speaking to us on these matters. Thank you so much. Vitus Azim is an anti-corruption person, former Executive Director of the Ghana Integrity Initiative. We know him well on matters like this. So back to the studio. Let me start off with you, Maliba. Your government promised a lot of things, oral and all of that. This week, how do you, when you sit back, how do you look at the week with a lot of the cases and things that have happened? OSP, National Service, AG, and then former AG and all of that. How do you look at this week?
Well, I see men at work. You've seen that signboard on the road, men at work. So I see various legal departments and agencies trying to work, and work is ongoing. I see the OSP on his own also trying to work by trying to bring Ofurata to accountability. I see the Attorney General also at work, trying to sanitize the department, devoid of any inhibitions, because the former Attorney General did not cover himself in glory when he was in that department, the Attorney General's department. And so if you look at some of the allegations made against him, one would have said that Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo should have moved him or should have reshuffled him. Allegations of manipulation of the justice delivery system. We also saw what happened in the Japa case. We also saw, particularly in the Opuni Agongo case, where he was alleged, I think one of the lawyers raised it was an issue, where he was alleged to have been seen coming out of a judge's chambers when the matter was going before the judge. You remember that in the Opuni case. And the way that case was even handled, the murky nature of that case, where Clement Honyanuga was made to sit on that case when he was even sent to the Supreme Court, he came back. When you look at all those things and you put them together, you come to one irresistible conclusion that the current Attorney General wants to sanitize the place and make the Attorney General a place where there's actually justice to all kinds of persons. So that's my summary of what happened.
I see. Mr. Dako, your thought on the week?
Okay, well, I think you listed some of the things that happened in the course of the week, and I wrote them down. But one of the things you forgot was the press conference of the minority on the withdrawal of the cases, which I believe actually elicited the response by the Attorney General.
But that happened before this week?
No, we had one on Monday.
Okay.
I met the Attorney General himself at Parliament yesterday. Clearly, that's what necessitated the press conference he did. And I think that we need to understand that we are building a nation. That there cannot be one justice for one set of people and another so-called justice for another set of people. Clearly, the withdrawal of the cases were wrong. I mean, you could see the Attorney General more or less fumbling in his bid to explain the reason for withdrawing the cases. One of the reasons he gave was he was a lawyer for one of them, I think.
For two, actually.
Two.
He was involved in two of them, the Atufosin and the Fosampo
formalities. And so, how do you expect this person, in his view, to continue with the case? I mean, I think it's most bizarre because, look, if you were the lawyer in that case, all right? Then, in this AG's office, there are professional prosecutors. The fact that you are the Attorney General, okay, doesn't mean that you are going to be the one prosecuting this case. Now, I'm going to tie this in with what happened during his vetting. During his vetting, when we put the issue of cautious mining to him, what was his response? During the vetting, I put to him that as a lawyer for cautious mining, it was going to be very difficult for him, the person who has wrote all the brief for cautious mining, to bring this suit of about $400 million against the Republic. It was going to be difficult for him to defend the Republic in this case. He said that, well, there are career professionals, lawyers in the office who will handle the matter, and that he himself is not going to be the one pursuing. So Ghanaians should be happy, Ghanaians should be comfortable knowing that he's not going to interfere in the prosecution of that matter. And that when the career professionals go, he believes that Ghanaians are going to win. And his clients, the Attorney General's clients, cautious mining, will lose. That's the impression he gave to us during the vetting. Now, you have this case, which you were a lawyer, Professor Ampofo and Ato Forsen. Now you come back to tell that because you were the lawyer for these two people, you don't think the case should continue. When you have career professionals who can also effectively prosecute the case. So the Attorney General, with all respect, I mean, is my professor, so I respect him, I mean, on that level. But I think that when it comes to his job right now, he's just speaking, double side from his mouth.
But to be fair, I mean, so the two cases, and the reasons he gave for dropping or withdrawing the case was ethical and professional. He said for ethical and professional reasons. So one, we saw the Ato Forsen case and how things panned out.
How did things pan out?
The fact that there was all this thing about witness tampering, all of that.
No, but that is not for the Attorney General to decide. The matter has been appealed to the Supreme Court. Let the court finish and give his ruling.
Yeah, but wait.
Why do you think that
the point I'm even making is the issue about the witness tampering was even different. The matter was appealed after the High Court.
Yeah, after the Court of Appeal.
No, after the High Court said they had a case to answer.
Yes.
They appealed to the Court of Appeal. Court of Appeal said really there was no case to answer, and so the case ended there. The Attorney General appealed. His view was, and he said he stated it then, that it was just a face-saving measure.
How?
So he did not think in his view that the matter should be appealed. The matter was what it was, so it should end. There was no point in the state further investing in the matter and all of that.
Didn't we know that they had made the overtures to return some of the money in the Ato Forsen case? Are you not aware?
No, but so where does that leave that? If the state had agreed, would have had it, but the state refused it, and the matter went to the Court of Appeal.
So there was that point that they themselves had come to the conclusion that they owed the state certain sums of money.
Well, the explanation they gave at the time was that they were willing to do so, just their business and all of that. But in any case,
there was an admission of guilt.
In any case, was that financial loss to the state? It was a contractual thing, and you said you had to supply X number of ambulances with such and such specs,
and
they are delivered and they fail to meet those specs. It's a contractual arrangement, it's a civil matter. But let them fix it and bring it back. And if there's any cost, let them bear it.
To date, it hasn't been fixed.
No, because the state has not been interested.
Because the people who did that should have known better by contracting this person to bring us substandard. In fact, according to their own health minister at the time, it was just vans. What they brought was just vans. And these people tried to pay money to this company. The point we are making is that, look, if you believe...
So you don't agree that, we could have used a civil method, the contractual approach, to recover whatever we had lost, rather than instituting criminal action?
The two can always go side by side.
Yeah, but we never really started the civil.
But I'm saying the two can go side by side.
But we didn't.
But we can start. The criminal one, there's a reason why the criminal one was ongoing.
But statute of limitation and all of that. I mean, the contractual arrangements.
It has its limits.
So that should be the real loss, financial loss to the state, because the people were willing to correct. Because it's not the first time somebody will deliver something to you. The thing will not be up to the specs you want. You can always go back to this is the contract. This should be here, this should be that. But what you brought doesn't have it. can you refix it for us, or can you refund? We could have always done that.
There's an option we could have taken. Let's stick to the
issue. But so the point they are making is that those were politically trumped up charges and amounted to persecution rather than dealing with the real matter.
I don't think so at all. And for me, his explanation and for all the other cases, the explanation, you see that it was just to save the NDC. One of the reasons they started giving out was that, and I heard Vitus Azim saying the same thing, that the cases had been in court for a long period of time, you know. And so I asked whether we are laying new criminal jurisprudence in the country, that when cases
keep long, then it means there's no merit.
3 years, then it has to be done. Because there's so many cases in the country that have traveled beyond even 10 years, 15 years, and we are still prosecuting them. Why? We know if we want to be fair to the system, then let's withdraw all the cases above a certain number of years. Then we know that this is a principled attorney general. You understand? You are only selecting very few. In fact, even for the NDC, we always tell them, they're only selecting the big men. There are a lot of them who are going through various criminal cases in the country, and they've been in court for more than 10 years. They are not coming to save you NDC people, but they're only saving the big men. So you should be asking them why they think that only the big men should be saved. I think that the week, has been very interesting. On one hand, government seems to be fighting corruption by President Mahama asking NIB to check its net. And then on the other hand,
National Service.
National Service, sorry. On the other hand, people who have duped the nation, stolen from the nation, of course, or alleged until proven, are being released. So what is the commitment to fighting corruption here? I think that we are trying to, again, play the political chess game. If it suits your political party, then it is good. If it doesn't suit your political party, then it is bad. I mean, how do you leave Colin Zauda and his team out of this, the Saglami case, when millions and millions of cedis have been expended, and your only reason is that not all the $200 million, went waste, and a part, according to him, part of that was used to build the facility. Now, if you have, I think the former AG was saying about, even if that is true, there's about $94 million. How about that? Are we saying that these are cases that we shouldn't pursue? You see, when you do that,
but if you say his cost financial loss of 200 million, for example, to the state,
yes,
but some work has been done, wouldn't it have been prudent and more efficient through the investigation to say, okay, out of the 200 million, the estimate is that the work done was maybe 100 million.
I am just saying, the current AG, the former AG believes that it's the 200 million. It is the argument, the argument of this current AG, that part of that was used to build the facility that I'm talking about. That if you believe that, because for the former AG, you believe that the whole 200 million, you have come, you say you reviewed the file, you've seen that part was actually used to build the facility. How about the other part? How do you justify the waste of that part? So why don't you, if you really are focusing on retrieving state funds, why don't you amend the charges where the charges can be amended so that you can go after the person for the particular sum, which at least we all know, if you believe that at least the 94 million has gone waste. So we are not fighting the corruption the way it should be fought. Look, if NDC was fighting all these cases in court, ensuring that the people are sent to jail, and then you begin to investigate others, Ghanaians will give you support. But right now, it seems the whole idea is to protect NDC people, and now bring attention to the former government officials, and as we were trying to prosecute them. I'm sure we'll come to the other cases, but so that's my point.
Very well. Yes. So, Amaliba, the point we raised, but was it necessary to discontinue all these cases almost around the same time? So it did appear like he was waiting to do this. Maybe let some of the cases continue. Those ones you feel strongly about, maybe you can discontinue them. But about 7 or 8 cases.
But look at the timeline. You come in on Wednesday, Friday, you determine that the ASEMS case should be withdrawn, and the next day the guy is given appointment as Bank of Ghana governor. I mean, look at that.
So that's a real concern. A flurry of cases dropped at the same time. Couldn't you have managed that better?
On any day, I would rely on the credibility of Dominic Ayine than Godfrey Dame. On any day. Because Dominic Ayine has been on record to prosecute his own government appointee, his colleague. True or false?
That's Abu Gapele.
Godfrey Dame is on record to have discontinued the investigation of a colleague. True or false?
Which colleague? Cecilia Dapa.
Cecilia Dapa. So on any day, I will rely on the judgment of Dominic Ayine as against that of Godfrey Dame. The next point is this, that as lawyers, we have different perspectives. If one lawyer thinks that witness tampering is repugnant, it goes to affect the credibility of the case in court. His conclusion on the case will be different from another lawyer who doesn't see anything wrong with that. And it was clear in the Jakpa case that what the Attorney General did in some jurisdictions, he would have even been debarred. In very serious jurisdictions, he would have been debarred. So, if you have such a case before you as an Attorney General, hearing your predecessor saying that I am under pressure from the President and the Kenoforata to nail Atuforsen. If you hear that...
What did he say that? What did he say that?
Why? Didn't you listen to the tape? Where the conversation between he and Jakpa. And you realize in that conversation you heard him insult the people from Central Region. You know, I don't want to repeat those things. That they want a by-election there, and that the people of Central Region are what I don't want to repeat those things.
The content of that tape went before
Let me talk.
Okay, sure.
So when you call a witness and you subject that witness to such discussion, and you even told the witness to lie on oath that he is sick and should go for medical reports, how do you expect me, if I become an Attorney General, in such a case to continue? So murky. Too murky. So I agree with him. I agree with Dominic Ayine on this matter, that you just have to discontinue. And particularly when the Court of Appeal itself had to confirm the fears of the lawyers of the accused persons, that there's no case to answer.
But that wasn't the end of the process.
Exactly.
The process could have gone up, and it did go up. Or awaiting it to be decided.
If you are listening to me in bits and pieces, you ask this question. Put what I've said into together, the combined effect of the behavior of Attorney General and that of the court.
Let me
the combined effect is that
when the matter was appealed, we did not know about the Jakpa so-called communication. So it was appealed strictly.
We are all now talking after the facts. Today, you are here asking me after all this. I have a bedside view of all what has happened. Do you want me not to mention them here? So leave me to do my submission. So if you now come, because all this have happened before he became Attorney General, so he has now seen all this. So what the combined effect of such a conduct, together with what the Court of Appeal has done, you don't expect an Attorney General to continue going along that side. So there's simply nothing wrong with that thing. During Godfrey Dame's tenure, wasn't it marked by a lot of controversies? It was marked by a lot of controversies. There were allegations of he even tampering with the justice delivery system. There were allegations of those things when he was Attorney General.
But allegations can always come, can be.
That's why I'm saying that his tenure was marked with controversies. and give you an example of those controversies is what I have just said.
So because of that, all the cases, criminal cases was pursuing, then withdraw all of them. Why are you withdrawing some of them? And
so because of that, you are dealing with an Attorney General whose tenure could not be described as glorifying. So, a new Attorney General comes. Didn't we even hear in one of the cases, the prosecutor, the prosecutor or investigator wrote in the file that it shouldn't continue?
No.
Is it the Isiama case? What Ayini said,
yes.
But AG said, former.
No, I am saying that. I am saying that.
Bring the memo.
Bring the memo. I'm sure in the next few days. I mean,
that's the challenge. That's a challenge to Dominic Ayine, and he has to produce it.
Bring the memo and
so if you go and he said that when he entered the office, I just told him when I entered the office, I saw road crashes, pedestrian road knocks down. He says that when he entered the office, he saw that memo.
Yeah. And he was responsible. You should bring it out.
If I saw road crashes, the pedestrian road crashes, and I moved to the front, why wouldn't he also, when he saw that, also deal with it as the same way? There's logic. Simple logic. Now, Godfrey has come to deny. I think that the onus now lies on Dominic Ayine to produce it, and I agree. But once he is in the office and said he saw that, he's bound to take the decision he has taken.
How? Which law says that?
No, but the law allows him to do what
he said he's bound. He's not bound.
No, but he's
not bound by the recommendation of a career.
Yes, but it's a matter of conviction.
I want him to choose his words.
It's a matter of
no, but he's a lawyer. When he speaks like that, those listening will think that as the Attorney General, when you receive a memo, whether through or not, when you receive a memo, you are bound to, as it were, act based on the recommendation of the memo. You can choose to ignore the recommendation. So please, let's be frank.
So the point is, Godfrey Dami chose to do otherwise or think otherwise of the memo.
Well, if it did exist. At least from what he said, it never came to him.
He decided not to ignore it. And Ayine is the one who has the power now, and the laws allow him to so act, and he has acted. But let me begin again this way from you. Of course, it was novel to see this Attorney General provide reasons for his actions. In the past, we never really saw that. I saw Godfrey Dami trying to say that there were statements issued here and there, but the manner in which it was done, it was the first time we saw an Attorney General provide reasons for his actions. Reasons you may agree with or you may not agree with. Will you say that the reasons he's given or the fact that he's agreed to open up and provide reasons is generating more controversies than it would have been if he had kept quiet?
This is the first time that an Attorney General has subjected himself to question and answers regarding his decision not to prosecute. This is the first time. And so that may correct what Dominic Dami is saying. There were only statements, but this is the first time.
And we couldn't interrogate the statement.
You couldn't, yes. This is the first time.
You can interrogate the statement, but not him.
No, this
is the first time Attorney General has presented himself that asked me why I did what I did. This is the first time, and it should be commended because according to him, he thinks that, and it's still about philosophy, he thinks that in a democratic society, even though he's not bound to have gone out there to do what he's doing, but he thinks that the people need to know democratic governance. Apart from that, he thinks that he must provide justification, reasons, because of discretionary power, which has been spelled out in the Constitution, and what you should do. So again, it's about a philosophy of how he thinks his tenure should look like. And so this is the first time. And if you are asking whether that is why we are seeing more of the questioning, I don't think that if he didn't do that, there still wouldn't have been questions. Because the opponents would have still come out to say that what you are doing is, and once the opponents speak, what you are doing is to free your people. And once they speak, the minorities speak, definitely become new. So that is the answer to your question. That whether he did it or not, it will still be a topic for discussion. But did he do what was needed to be done? The answer is yes, because you needed to carry along the people of this country in your attempt to want to sanitize the Attorney General's department. I heard Godfrey Dami say that they never as it were, discontinue cases against the MPP people. Tell me, did the NDC engage in such frivolous prosecutions? So when they came to power, they never met anybody in court coming from the MPP because we did not engage in frivolous, prosecution of our opponents. But if you engage in frivolous prosecution of your opponents, then the outcome is what we are seeing, where even the courts would say that there's no case to answer, and you are still insisting that the current Attorney General should go along with it. And so, if you have no case to answer, and if you have no case in court, you couldn't have come to meet MPP people in court so that you can discontinue. Because we, on our part, did not engage in frivolous prosecution of our opponents. So that's why you never came to meet that. But when you had the opportunity to even prosecute your own, you failed to do it. And so when people vote to change a government, in fact, they are telling you to hold your opponent accountable. Because if you are left to continue, you hold your opponents accountable. That's one of the reasons why people change government.
So that you don't have to hold your own people accountable.
Oh, you don't understand.
No, what he's saying is that it's easier to hold your opponents accountable than your own people.
So, in fact, there are people who are even saying that if Muhammad comes and doesn't do anything at all, but is only able to hold these people accountable, they are satisfied.
Who are these people?
You are your cohorts. And so they shouldn't be worried at all. You have not done it, nobody is coming after you. We all know Ken Ofore's conduct in this country. We all know it. You people, most of you, when we meet, after the program will go down, they say, oh, Kuntun Kunuku.
Don't.
This man has caused problems.
Don't say that.
Most of you tell me. You say it in secret.
I haven't said anything.
He hasn't told you.
I haven't had any discussion with you.
Me and you have not discussed that.
Please,
but
so
I know most of you.
I don't know.
After we finish the discussion, we'll go down. Then they say, hey, Kuntun Kunuku, this man, Kuntun Kunuku. So you know.
I don't know.
In your hearts of hearts, when I say you, generic, you MPP know in your hearts of hearts that he has a question to answer. But probably you may be complaining about the way and manner the raid took place. But you are the last to even talk about raiding.
But no,
you are the last.
The issues are quite connected. So I want us to stay on track with them. Yes. So we're dealing with the AG. We'll get to the OSP.
Yes.
But the other point is that, Amala, before I bring him in, that does this not set a precedent where, for example, NDC will prosecute some cases before maybe he leaves power someday? And MPP comes, the Attorney General also gives similar reasons and then frees the people. Wouldn't that be a dangerous precedent, and wouldn't that affect our quest for accountability as a people?
If that were to be the case, then I'll say that it's a wrong precedent. But it's a very good precedent if you have an Attorney General who, in his handling of these cases, totally misconducted himself. Totally misconducted himself. And never even, when a judge advised him to stay away and allow his deputy to continue with the case, you heard those advice in court. He's the first Attorney General who has received such an advice. First Attorney General. So, it is not just about discontinued matters, but you must have good reasons for discontinuing those matters. And I've told you, Godfrey Dame did not cover himself in glory when he was in the Attorney General's part. That's why most of these things are happening.
I see. The point about the AG coming out to explain the reasons, that should be commended in an era of transparency and all of that. And he, of course, maybe philosophically, he put that under 296, that he exercises discretion. The law allows him to keep it to himself and just move on. But he doesn't see how he can be candid when he doesn't explain or is not transparent. That should be something we should encourage going forward, even though it is not a requirement of the law.
I absolutely, I agree. And I think I commend him for that. And we need that kind of exercise in our quest for growing democracy. So I highly commend the learned Attorney General for that, and I hope that other Attorney General who will come will follow suit and also, as much as possible, give Ghanaians reason for taking some of these discretionary measures, and it has helped us to really understand his thinking. So for instance, in the case of Judge Kwesi, when he was asked, he said that his lawyer said they were confident that we were going to win the case, they will go on. Really, we now know from the AG the kind of conversation, the kind of people he's been listening to in making a decision as to whether he will prosecute a case or not. So the others, yes, clearly you can say that he's listening to them, and there are people who probably told him that, look, we are unable to win this case if you don't come in, and so please withdraw them for us. And for us as Ghanaians, going forward, it will help us in decision making as to who we want as a president, who we want as the leader. It's interesting that in his explanation, he also tried to absolve the president in all of this, said that the president had no idea, the president had no knowledge.
They said the president didn't tell him or instruct him to do it.
The president didn't tell him. It means that he never discussed with the president, or the president, he discussed, the president said,
No, maybe it's your work. If you think that's fine, go ahead and do it.
It's just interesting.
It's your work. I'm not a lawyer. President will say, I'm not a lawyer. If it's your work, if you think that's right.
From what he says, it looks to me that he did not even engage the president. If he had engaged the president, he would have told us that I engaged the president, but he asked me to go ahead.
But indeed, he took full responsibility for it. He said he was fully responsible for the decisions.
I believe that the president was aware, the president knew about it. Because why not? Why is it that the day after he withdrew the charges against Johnson Esiama, the next day the president makes him a governor of Bank of Ghana? Look,
maybe the appointment was waiting. Maybe it was going to come anyway.
Come on, my brother. Let's be true to ourselves. The president knew. He's always been aware. And the cases are cases he has personal interest. I mean, personal interest in the sense that they are his friends, they are his colleagues, they are his NDC members. So the president was aware. They planned this. And that is why, even in some of the cases, only the people he wanted to give positions to, only the people who are deep in NDC were let off. There are some of the cases which are still pending. You know that. In the case of Johnson Esiama cases, there are some of the defendants who are still in court. Okay, because they are not deep NDC members per se.
But I think that the reason he gave us that the reason for Esiama's involvement in the case was not tenable.
Oh, my brother!
Because
the
300 million had been paid.
His NDC man, he wanted
the 300 million had been paid, and the 150 million was still generating interest. So the matter was the loan was performing.
Again, that is different. You see, in our criminal law, and Amaluba will tell you, if you commit an offense, it doesn't matter whether you pay back or not. Because the offense is offense.
No, he said that the money was lost. But the memo, the so-called memo,
but you see,
the so-called memo, he says, suggested that the money was not lost. So in the first place, the case was not properly grounded.
How? The case was said that the state had lost that amount of money. They are claiming that it's not lost. Go to the court. Let the court decide. Put your evidence before the court. Let the court make that determination.
So the point is,
in your case,
if there is evidence before you
yes,
that this was what happened, and so the money was not lost per the memo he saw, and I'm sure he would have engaged the author of that memo. We are waiting for the memo.
We are waiting for the memo.
Yes, but I'm sure he would have, if indeed that memo exists, I'm sure he would have engaged the person who authored the memo to get some more understanding. If you are convinced that the money was not lost and all of that, will you say that you keep the matter in court, causing expense to the person and even your own self, the state, until the court determines it many years later?
But you see,
when you could withdraw it because the facts available to you are different.
Yes, the truth, I mean, as a lawyer, is that if you are conducting a case, in fact, he made a point which I agreed. Even the Legal Profession Act requires that if you have exculpatory information,
yes,
you're supposed to give out, and then if you have to settle the matter, withdraw the matter, you do. But here is a case that there is no such evidence. I mean, he has said it, we don't have the letter, but the case has been traveling. The case has been going on successfully. Okay, and some of them, they had closed their case. So they had the case to answer. The prosecution had closed this case and they had to open their case.
Yeah, because this matter, the matter contained in the memo.
Yes.
Because it was exculpatory.
The memo.
I'm sure we will see. If indeed it does exist, that's I keep qualifying.
It doesn't exist.
If indeed it
doesn't exist.
No, but he says it exists, so it may come up. So once,
I hope they don't go and procure anything.
Let's assume that.
What are you afraid of again?
So they don't procure anything, because it can happen. They can procure a so-called memo and say that this is the memo.
No, but you see, if we say so, then
anyway, you go ahead.
We can't make progress.
Okay, you go
because
ahead.
anything they bring, we may say it is procured.
Exactly.
Okay, so this could be exculpatory, but he's saying that the charges were trumped up. If they were politically trumped up, that could maybe explain why this was suppressed. The matter of the memo was suppressed because if it came up, it would mean that the man would have nothing to answer.
Well, let's wait.
So let's wait for the memo.
Let's wait for the memo. But I think the last point that I wanted to make on this, okay, Amaliba kept saying that the AG had, the former AG had issue with the court and that he gave some information. Look, when the matter of the Attorney General's engagement with JAPA came up, the court had to decide whether the information was really what they had put out there. Look, the NDC is good at propaganda. Amaliba, were you once the propaganda secretary? You know, I think
he was director of legal and director of conflict resolution.
Sure. They are very good at propaganda. So they put the information out there and make it look as if the AG was engaging in some illegality. The court, and that is the last bastion of our democracy, the court had the opportunity to listen to the tape over and over and over. And the judgment, yesterday, the Attorney General read, maybe for the benefit of our viewers, let me just read just five or six lines. This is what the judge said, that after listening to the conversation between A3 and A1, the issue of whether the AG actually told A3 to implicate A1 is not borne out by the evidence on the exhibit. The evidence on the exhibit is the tape. Okay, it's not borne out of that. And these words were uttered by A3 at about minute 9 to minute 10. In the same vein, the declaration that A3 was innocent and going through ordeal, but was asked to help make the case of the AG better, was not made by the AG, but was made by the A3, to which the Attorney General responded at minute 10:20, I am not asking you to help me. If you take your time to listen, so this is a gentleman who was putting words, we're having a conversation, I say something, and I want you to assume that it's coming from you. The court said, look, what you are saying is not borne out by the evidence, it's not borne out from the tape that I have heard over and over and over. So let's not try to...
in the first place, must that conversation be had at all between an Attorney General and an accused? In the first place, must that happen?
I think the Attorney General made a point yesterday as to why he called the guy. That's another
There's
argument.
no reason for that.
If you are accusing somebody of doing something, you have to be factual. You have to be truthful. It's obvious
but
that
the
from
point
the
is
tape,
the Attorney General,
what you are saying, what do people put out there was a lie.
No, but you see, the Attorney General could have prevented all of this if he did not engage a gentleman in that conversation. And as
conversation was going
that
a
even in
certain
civil
way.
matters, you are not even. It's not even proper for you to be engaging
without the lawyer on the other side.
It is a criminal matter, and that is unethical. That's what Ayeni and Co and the NDC have been saying. That alone creates some difficulty. For example, asking the gentleman to tell the court he was sick. I heard this explanation yesterday, but all of that in the court of public opinion, which is key, all of that will not look well.
But you see, there's a difference between the court of public opinion and the court of law. Because if you are prosecuting somebody, the court of law will look at the facts as they are.
No, but so the court of law had reason to pronounce on that aspect of it. That's why the judge, Ifiasewa, said that he strongly advised that Godfrey Damin steps away from the case.
But the point is that the facts, the kind of issues they wanted to put on the AG did not exist. And clearly from
But would you agree that the engagement with the A3 was unethical? Would you agree?
Oh, I think as a lawyer, I mean, I can agree that.
And the AG ought not to have found himself in that position.
Yes, I mean, I'm sure he will sit back and say that I shouldn't have done that. But it doesn't change the fact that the kind of things they said he did, he didn't do it. He didn't tell him to help him, and he actually said in the tape that I'm not asking you to help me. This is something that we need to understand that it never happened.
Our point this is a big issue on 97.3 City FM. We're looking at the AG's withdrawal of some cases and the entry of knowledge prosecutor in others. The matter which is taking our time really is the Japa case, the Atufosin and Japa case. I mean, the Republic versus these two people.
You have in Thompson and all of these cases.
And quite a number of cases.
Millions and millions of dollars. What was his reason for withdrawing the case against Thompson?
So my guests this morning are John Daku, Member of Parliament for Swami, Ibrahim Maliba, Director General National Road Safety Authority, and also Director of Conflict Resolution of the NDC. Franklin Kojo will join us soon, and Mia Iko to also join us soon on this.
Appointment of Johnson Esiama. I don't know how whatever was happening in court can prevent his appointment.
The fact that he was, of course, you are innocent of
only yes, it is
but
only when there's a
conviction
conviction.
works in a funny way. They don't want people with questionable character and people who have been engaged in A, B, and C to be found around this. And it wouldn't have been good for the optics if your governor was standing trial for causing financial loss to the state to the tune of over 300 million, and also giving money to a bank that was not supposed to be, and all of those issues. Those would have created some matters, upon his head.
I agree, but he was not proven to have done those things either. And so the appointment would have still come, irrespective of whether the matter is in court or not. And I'm trying to distinguish or detach what he's saying from what Dominic did by saying that because they wanted to appoint him, that is why it was withdrawn.
The dropping of the case and the appointment the following day or so, would you say that was just coincidental?
Both parties are doing their work. Appointing authorities are doing their work. Dominic is doing his work in the Attorney General's department. If, by coincidence, it happens that after I've dropped this case, he's appointed, that's a different ballgame.
But it would have been interesting if he had been appointed before the case was dropped.
And I'm saying that
that would have been very interesting.
That one would have been the real issue.
Oh, this is
that worse. you are dropping
if he had been appointed before the case was dropped, they would have said because the case is appointed, he's been dropped.
That's more serious matter.
You are watching it before you put him there.
But we all know, he knows, and we all are lawyers here, that until you are proven guilty and you are not being convicted, so it's not debarred from holding public office. And so, if we want to go legal, let's go legal. And then you spoke about the fact that public opinion is not important. What is important is what happens in court. No. The reason why there's credibility or there's what people attach importance to our justice delivery system is perception that when you go to court, the right things will be done. And so if those who are to patronize the courts begin to feel that the justice delivery system is being manipulated, those people will not go to court. So public perception of the judiciary is as important as what is happening in court. What is happening in court is legal, but public perception as to what the justices are doing is right is also important.
That's why you're
so two of them, two go together, and nobody has lied to that. If people see that you pass a judgment saying that your birth certificate cannot prove you as a Ghanaian, people know that judgment is wrong. You don't need a lawyer to tell you that. And so the justice delivery system must acquit itself in such a way as to allow the ordinary Ghanaian also have confidence in the judiciary. So don't say that public perception is not important. It is important, particularly when the judiciary strives on public perception. Judiciary, all that they do is predicated on public perception. If public perception of them is low, then our judiciary is gone.
You agree that there are times the public just doesn't understand what happens. I mean, it may sound different to the public, but when you look at the law itself, the judge may be right in ruling that way. But because the public doesn't understand, you say, this is it. How can this be so? Meanwhile, that is the law, and the judge is just following the law.
And that is why lawyers are there to explain, and the public would then take it on. You see, I am saying that the day we get to a point where the public has no confidence in our judiciary, you know how the common law came about. There were other courts. Weren't there other courts? But those courts lost their credibility because perception of them was bad, and everybody started gravitating towards the common law. That's how the common law became common law. And I'm saying that in Ghana, when we get to a point when the public perception is
but we are not talking
the
about
public
the perception.
You brought about that. No. The public perception is low in our judiciary. When the public, let me finish. The public perception is low of our judiciary. That's the end of our judicial system. But your point is right. There are some things which are technical. How do we get the public to understand that? And that's why I'm saying that lawyers must then play that role, critical role of explaining these issues to the public. But you must carry your public along in the judicial system. You must. Because they are the ones who patronize the courts. And if you don't do that, you leave them behind, your court system would break down.
I see. Let's take a few messages, then we'll take a break and come back and continue. Chris in Ashali, which says, Godfrey Dami has no moral right to be making statements about legal issues in Ghana. The last time I checked, Mr. Dami became the chief MPP persecutor, not prosecutor. He said he was operating in a Rambo style just to please his superiors. And then he found nothing wrong with dollars found under the bed of former sanitation minister. So you're saying that the explanations he provided yesterday were not good enough to redeem the former AG's image. This is the big issue. That from Chris from Ashali Buchi. This is a big issue. We'll take a short break. When we return, we'll hear more on this. Don't go away.
This March, we invite you to splash in the pool of cultural expressivity and soak yourself in the celebration of indigenous authenticity in our Heritage Month. Join us for the Heritage Month launch on Friday, February 28th, as we kick off a month of unforgettable experiences. Pack your bags for the Heritage Caravan, a week-long adventure across Ghana from March the 2nd to the 9th. Discover the beauty and history of our land. Savor the flavors at the Back to Your Village Food Festival, a culinary extravaganza on March 29th and 30th. Taste the essence of Ghana. Tune in to the Heritage On Air series on 97.3 CDFM and Channel 1 TV. Feel the rhythm of our music, journey through our religious history, and indulge in indigenous Ghanaian food. Join us to celebrate our heritage this Heritage Month, where every moment is a story. Only on Channel 1 TV and 97.3 CDFM.
Of their labors, spoils of the brave, which have brought results.
Yeah, welcome back. This is the big issue. My guest, John Darko of the MPP and Abraham Maliba of the NDC. Earlier, we heard from Vitus Azim. We'll hear from some more people as well. Your comments are welcome via our WhatsApp line 0204447033 or 0549986996. This one from Prince Henry in Koforidua says, good morning, Selorm. If the former president, John Mahama, was investigated by the OSP and the MPP saw nothing wrong with it, why should Ken Ofori-Atta not be investigated? Is Ken Ofori-Atta above the laws of Ghana? Where was the MPP when the OSP was investigating former President Mahama? The NPP and Anabi should allow the special prosecutor to work. because Ghana must work and will work again under the NDC-led government. Let us support the NDC, led by Bahama, to give us a Ghana we want. Hashtag the big issue. That's from Prince Henry in Koforidua. So the Attorney General has been busy dropping cases against some personalities of the NDC in the past regime. A number of cases, really. The Republic versus Ato Forsin and Japa, the Republic versus Ofusampofo and another. We have the Republic versus Collins Dowda and many other people. The Republic versus Ernest Thompson and some other people as well. Republic versus Stephen Opuni and another, and quite a number of other cases. Of course, the case of Republic versus Vomawo and Ama Governor and all of those were also discontinued, but those ones don't appear to be gaining traction so much because people actually didn't think that those cases should go to court in the first place. So that's what we are looking at generally, interrogating the reasons the Attorney General has given for withdrawing those cases. But Doctor, let me take your view on the Vomawo and the Ama Governor matters. I mean, they were just demonstrating and the state bundled them, put them in cell for some time. The courts denied them bail and they were standing trial, you know.
Well, I mean...
they were demonstrating against Galamsey.
Well, I mean, we see how all these people come back to demonstrate against Galamsey after the election. But look, as a lawyer, I believe that some cases shouldn't be prosecuted. In fact, not even as a lawyer, as a politician, I think that when you prosecute some cases, you give those people some matter, tag. Ama Governor and those people shouldn't have been prosecuted. But, I think at the time they had destroyed some public properties and one may want to justify it. But I thought that politically it wasn't a smart decision to prosecute them. But no, what I feel that the withdrawal of those cases with these ones is just to show to the public that we are not only withdrawing cases against big NDC people.
But you said the cases were just about big NDC.
Yeah, so the idea is just to bring these two as a way of saying that it's not only against big NDC people. But anyways, I think that it's okay that they've withdrawn those cases against the two people. Yes, they really didn't cause financial loss to the state, and so it's okay. I hope and believe that Ama Governor and Vomawo, they will, take this as a lesson and at least try to conduct themselves well. They are lawyers, I guess, and make their profession proud. I'm happy that they've been let off the hook here.
All right.
It only shows how vindictive the Attorney General was.
But he was doing his job. If
but you do your job. What if you have
things which were wrong?
If you are vindictive, you arrest some of these people who are demonstrating, and rather leave the Galamseyers. So that's the issue that I want to focus on. It can also tell you that if he can do this to people who are not his direct opponents, then his direct opponents who are in court.
No, but are you saying that if people are demonstrating and they do wrong things, we should leave them off the hook because it will be perceived as going after people who are opponents?
I am saying that you can handle this humanely.
Like how?
You've already kept them in prison. How many days? 4, 5 days, 1 week?
About 2 weeks.
These are not common criminals who have stolen something. That alone is enough.
It was the court. It was the court.
He can discontinue it against them.
The thing is that
he can discontinue. John,
even though I'm happy that they release them, right?
John, why you always
it never happened.
You are taking my time.
Even in the US, those who went to the Capitol Dome.
You see, because
some of them went
Trump has released
exactly. But I'm just saying that it happened even in the bigger democracies. So yes, I'm happy that this.
But here you are saying that you don't think those things should have been prosecuted. He's saying that they should have been done. Could have been done humanely. So you are saying the same thing.
No, but I just want him to understand that.
No, but you cannot control my submissions. You see, I'm now in government, so I want to conduct myself well.
Okay.
Have you noticed that?
So before you're not conducting yourself well.
No, I want to,
you want to be gentle. It's not Director General. You want to be Director General.
When you are in opposition,
you have to be aggressive.
You have to be aggressive. Now I have the bone in my mouth.
So
I can't be backing.
So your mouth is full.
If I back,
the food will fall.
The
so now your mouth is full.
So Give me my space. You know,
you have it, my brother. You have it.
Give my space.
Now that you've admitted that your mouth is full of bones.
So, not me too, but bones. If you like to chew bones. So the point is clearly that if you had an attorney general who didn't see himself solely as doing the bidding of the government of the day, you have some of these things happening. And he has admitted that such things, you could have just allowed them to go. And there are some arrests, when you make them, you make the people become heroes. And they become martyrs. And the way he was going about it, in fact, with the case of this Vomawa, there were some of the things that he should have just allowed to pass and nobody will hear about Vomawa. But he virtually made Vomawa a martyr. So you don't need to use state power in such a way as to want to use a sledgehammer to kill an ant. You know, from the way he was conducting himself, any listing, Godfrey Dami wants to use state power to coil it. But that wasn't how I thought an attorney general should conduct himself. So these cases that were removed, particularly the demonstrators, it's a clear indication of how vindictive he was as an administrator.
I see. Now let's deal with the OSP. Let's start with the raid. The raid on Kanofurata's house, Amaliba. How did it come to you? Was it something? Is it something you anticipated? Something you support? Or what's your thoughts on the so-called raid? We didn't know anything about it.
For me, I've been around since President Kufuor took over from Fabian Rawlings. Yes, I've been around, and this comes to me as déjà vu. I must say that even under this administration, we've not seen so many raids.
So you want more raids?
I've not seen so many raids under this administration.
That's interesting.
And I am not asking for more, but I think that it's beginning to slow down. I know that no less a person than former President Mills, when he was a former vice president's house, was raided. When he was away, like Ken is away, he was lecturing in South Africa, was it Canada? Yeah. His wife, the old lady, they went there and traumatized her. I've seen that.
We condemned it.
That's what I'm saying. I've seen that. I'm just giving you the history. So, has it now gotten to a point where we have to draw a line? Because they face it, we have faced it. And that's how I like life to be. You do me, I do you, then we all come back and say, hey, let's sit down and talk about this. We've done to each other. Can we now come back and say that never again? We can do these things in a way that is acceptable in a democracy. Nobody is saying that Ken Oforiatta's house should not be searched. He shouldn't be invited or he shouldn't be arrested. But the Rambo style, where in the morning at dawn, as if these are people who have booked their place to.
Normally, the raids are done at dawn. I don't know why. Maybe, I don't know. Because maybe the person for sure you know is in the house.
He's in the house sleeping, yes. He's not left. So, these traumatized children of such politicians and wives and family who are living with them, can we as a people now say that time has come for us, as it were, to draw a line and say we won't do that again? But did Ken bring this upon himself? And I'm here trying to distinguish the OSP from the raid. When you look at the letter written by his lawyers, did his lawyers help him? I say no. Because come to think of it, the lawyers were saying that if they want to interrogate Ken Oforiatta, they are there to be interrogated. Can you imagine? Are you the subject matter? Who are the lawyers of Ken? They wrote that letter. And for me, it was wrong for the lawyers to write back to say that they don't even know when Ken is coming.
No. So you think that's the reason why they raided him?
Now the two are not connected.
I'm not connecting the two.
Now the two are not connected. So,
because he said he brought it upon himself.
No, he's asking a question. What did he bring it upon himself? Whether the lawyers should have, but they didn't have the date, and they were just relaying to the special prosecutor what the client had told them, that I'm scheduled for this at this time. Depending on what happens, I may be able to come at this time or not. So there was no definite time.
Yes, so I'm saying that I have been to Yoko before. One, I can mention the man's name. There are two I went. One is Ashai, the MP for Tema East. He was then doing his master's. He was invited by Yoko. I wrote to the Yoko back and told them that my client is not in town, but I'll find out from him when he will make himself available. Then it was one Nana who was the deputy Nana, as if you've worked at the Yoko before. He's called Nana something. So I'll get back to him and get an understanding of when he will come. He said there's no problem about that. Then I got back to him. He said he was doing his master. There will be, semester break, and then during this period. So we'll fix a date. And I wrote back to them, and they said they agree. Is Ken Oforete saying that we all know he was sick whilst governing this the finance ministry? Is Ken Oforete telling us that he's bedridden and cannot walk? Is that his predicament?
We don't know.
No. Because we have seen
but
him.
your own example defeats the explanation you are giving.
No, you let him conclude.
You are not listening.
We'll deal with that. Yeah.
That you can get your client to give the institution that is calling you a date that you think you can come. But to say you won't come. So indeed.
He didn't say he won't come.
No, he said that.
The difference between the Ashai one and this one, there's a structured system, school, semester. You know when vacation will come.
I don't want you to think that
but
there
this
was
one,
the letter written didn't say that they don't know when he's coming back.
No, but they said things could get this health.
And I'm saying that they wrote that in that letter. The impression was clear. They don't know when he'll come back. You know that. And I'm saying that you don't write such a letter to an institution looking for your client who is a subject matter of a criminal offense. You don't say that.
No,
so if you don't know when he's coming, the investigation should stop. There was also another issue that I thought they could have tempered with, they dealt with or averted their minds to, by saying that, is it possible for an officer to come to the UK or wherever he is to interrogate him because of his predicament? Is it possible? That could have been another suggestion if they thought their client was not able to come within a reasonable time. But to make it look like everything must come to a standstill till Ken Oforete on his own volition decides to walk in here, I think that is unacceptable. And so the lawyers' letters is what triggered the Iyoko, the OSP's letter of declaring him as wanted. Because you can't give us a date he will come. You can also tell us that, we are willing to be interrogated, but can we suggest in this way? It was wrong for the lawyers to even say that they are available. When did lawyers?
No, maybe just to provide information or documents. But just hold your thoughts there. Let me speak to Nia Ikwe Otu, the Honorable former Attorney General of our Republic. He's joined us on the line with a few thoughts. Hello, good morning, sir. Welcome to the big issue. I know you follow this week with a lot of interest. Let's start from the OSP. What do you make of the OSP's press conference and the matters he raised, principal amongst them being the declaration of the former finance minister as a wanted person?
Okay, thank you. I know that he has been roundly condemned by all well-meaning, lawyers of good standing and Ghanaians in general. You don't declare somebody a fugitive from justice when you have not even charged the person. All you are asking of him to do is to appear before you and help you with investigation. In that investigation, it is for you to conduct it, because at the end of the day, you are the one going to prove the guilt of the accused, and not for him to prove anything. The burden of proof is on you. Secondly, you are aware that the person is presumed innocent until he is otherwise proven guilty. So if all you want is for him to come in, help you with investigation, how do you declare him a fugitive when you don't even have any arrest warrant? saying that he should be arrested and that you are looking for him, you cannot find him. Again, we all know from the press and the media that the lawyers wrote to you, telling you his whereabouts. Again, before he left Ghana, he wrote to inform the chief of staff, former as well as the current. So if you know the whereabouts of somebody, how do you still say that the person is a fugitive from justice? I see him as sometimes being too full of himself, thinking of his independence as an independent person. But he has forgotten that the power to prosecute under the Constitution lies with the Attorney General. And the Attorney General can easily enter a nolle prosequi, and to stop all prosecutions that maybe he's doing. He is doing so because he's an agent of the Attorney General. So I would not immediately call for his dismissal. I would say, try to heed the advice of Obama, who said that we need to build strong institutions instead of strong men. And therefore, let's help him to, do the right thing, and then we will benefit from that office when it comes to fighting corruption. If you ask me, the next thing is that for what he has seen, the backlash that he has received, I think he will now tread a little cautiously with this matter. Give the man time, let him go through his medicals, then return to the country so you can deal with him. Although you can monitor through his lawyers to know when exactly it's going to arrive and all that. So that would be my take on it.
But the other concern too is that the letter his lawyers wrote to the OSP did not appear to suggest that he was going to come back anytime soon. So what does that mean? Does it mean that the investigation should stall until he comes back at a time of his choosing? What should happen?
What was the overarching message that he gave to him? Was it that he had just left the country, or that he wasn't well? And didn't we all know at one stage, I thought we had the famous Abuso reading the budget on his behalf. Didn't it happen in Ghana? So we know the man's condition. When he went through 2 days of, what do you call it? 2 days of vetting. Didn't we see the many stops that had to, or breaks that he had to take to allow him to refresh and come back? So we all know these things happen, that the man is not well. And once they have told you he's not well, what's the problem? You understand?
I see. But so will you agree with those who say that, okay, now they say he's in the US, an address has been provided. If the special prosecutor is minded, he may travel there to have an engagement with him if it's so important.
He doesn't even need to travel. He can do that by Zoom. We all know today he can do a video link. We know how to contact him. So many things. We do a lot of videos here. Others do other Zooms. Others do other things in America. I've forgotten some of them. And they are all there. You can always get to talk to the person if you really want. If he's just strong enough to speak, he can speak. You don't need to be there. It goes on were the days when we could, when your loved one travels outside the country, that means that you are doomed until he comes back. Because if you want to talk to the person, it was a huge problem and all that. These days, it's no longer a problem. You can contact him if you want.
How about people who think that the OSP even delayed because Kenneth Furata has been out of government for the past 7-8 months? The matters he was being investigated, or he's been investigated on, according to the OSP, national criteria like this started in 2017. The SML matter came to light in 2023, and all of that. These were matters that happened long ago, and that the OSP might have delayed in carrying out the action now. What do you think about that?
You are a media man, so you know what the issues are. Are you saying that you could have started him during the time MPP was in power?
But
it's the same thing that is the same problem we are having with the current attorney general telling us stories about why he has discontinued cases. They won't do it. They dare not. They won't allow him to prosecute it. Just as he's also going about discontinuing and withdrawing charges. He's such a very powerful individual, So practically, yes. Ordinarily, that is why the office was set up, to avoid the situation of the Attorney General refusing to prosecute. So now we set up an independent office of special prosecutor, so he can handle the things that the AG can't handle. But the practical situation is that they are unable to do that. I don't know whether that is part of your discussion, because otherwise I'll go ahead and cite the example of the U.S. You see, those of you who watch CNN, we all know that prosecutors in New York are resigning in droves because somebody directed that they should drop charges against the mayor. And they said they won't. They won't. So they are leaving. So it's all a political decision. No one should tell me that he's taking personal responsibility for anything. It's order from above. He was ordered to do it, and those who want to do it, do it. Those who don't want to do it, the culture of resignation is among the European advanced countries quite easy to do. You come to Africa, no matter what, you still want to hold on to office. But there, the least thing, the person resigns because he's not coming from school to have been appointed a minister. He might have worked and earned whatever he wants. And so when he resigns, he goes back. But in Africa, nobody resigns because this is all that he has. You understand where I'm coming from? So what I'm saying is that he couldn't have done it during the time, but he could have started maybe taking evidence and things. So, my brother, we want you in our office, or if you cannot come, we'll come over to you. Some concerns have been raised about this MSL or whatever, blah, 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 blah. We have your take on them. You understand? Then you start building a docket gradually so that in the event that they leave office, you have something to rely upon. You can use that to go and take a warrant of arrest from the court. But you have done nothing. The guy had left the jurisdiction. Then you go about declaring him a wanted person. I mean, what's the meaning of that?
I see. So, so is that we should just wait for him to come, and then whatever the case is, we put him to it.
I think he even has a medical report from a doctor, isn't it?
The OSP doesn't place a lot of probative value, on that letter from the hospital.
Who is it to say so? Has he charged him with anything for him to be running away? I remember when I charged those people, I've forgotten the name of that company, those who bought the Mercedes-Benz, and they were not paying by using the assets of the company, we charged them. I said, once I've charged them, if anybody is not well, they should be brought to court, even on the stretcher. Let's all see that he's not well, and then we know what to do. But I have charged you, and you won't come, and you always tell me you are not well. That one, I have every right to disbelieve you. But this one, you have not even preferred in the charge. And from the way you are going, it appears you don't even know what charges you want to give to him. Because it's your duty is to prosecute the man. You are not supposed to use what the man is going to say as the basis of your charge. It is your prosecution witnesses who should come collecting the evidence left and right I understand now he has recruited quite a number of people. Because earlier we were told by Mateyami that he didn't have the personnel. So some people from the police department, attorney general department, were seconded to his office. But I now understand that he has recruited over 240 personnel. So they can build the docket for you. Let them go around to collect the information. It is for you to say that I'm satisfied from the evidence I have that you have caused financial loss to the state, you have stolen, you have involved yourself in corrupt practices, whatever. So why does he need him? Now let's go to the Constitution too. Is it not clearly written in the Constitution that nobody can be compelled to give evidence at his trial? And again, is it not the case that when you arrest somebody, you read him his rights and to tell him that you have a right to remain silent because anything you say will be used against you in court? So what do you need him for? Why should he come and give you evidence? And then we say, I won't give you evidence. We say, I've declared you a wanted person. Were we not in this country when somebody was tried in absentia? Is it a manslaughter lady? She was tried in absentia and then they even jailed him, and sentenced him to serve. And we are still looking for him to come. So go ahead and do what you want to do. Unless you want to play to the gallery, otherwise just go ahead and do your work.
So, for the purposes of education to our listeners and viewers, is it possible that even though he is not in the country, he could be charged? How will he be served with the charge sheet and the processes? And how would that happen? What does the law say about that?
You can publish it anywhere. These days, almost all journalists are reading law. We call about 1,000 people to the bar at the same time. And now when I see people, I assume they are lawyers. Are we not aware that now you can even serve somebody through what we call WhatsApp message? You see, when the NDC went to court and they said they wanted the MPP guys and they could not find them, so they want to serve them by substitution. I think one of the things they did was really to serve them through WhatsApp messages and the rest. It's all done. It's not a big deal. And publish it.
Thanks so much. Yes, we are so grateful that you make time as always to give us your views on these matters. Nia Ikotu is a former Attorney General appointed by former President Kufuor, and he served his term, and he's now a senior citizen providing insights to us on many of the matters. Yes,
but you've gone to him before you went to.
No, I thought he was in the middle of it, but I thought I told him he would end because I made him hold his thoughts.
Oh,
but
he had finished.
Have finished.
Let me make this point before I even go to the other issues. The OSP is just blowing hot air. His claim, especially when he stood and addressed kind of for Furata and said that you either come personally or we will bring you anyways. So let's say this person is in the US. How are you going to bring him? Look, we are lawyers and we have to understand the legal position of these issues. If somebody is in the US and we claim that the person is a fugitive, you need to be able to show that you have charged the person in your country. All right. And so if you look at the US, I went through the US Constitution, their extradition clause. They have extradition clause. And this is what the extradition clause is, Article 4, Section 2, Clause 2. Anybody can look at it, can write it down, Article 4, Section 2, Clause 2 of the US Constitution. That's the extradition clause. It says a person charged. So that's the first thing you need to see, that the person is charged. A person charged in any state with treason, felony, or other crime. Now, treason, felony, or other crime means any offense. So a person charged in any state with treason, felony, or other crime, who shall flee from justice and be found in another state, shall on demand of the executive authority of the state from which he fled, be delivered up to be removed from the state having jurisdiction of the crime. So, if the country, if he says, I'm not coming, and you want him to come, You cannot go to the US, any state he is, and ask them to bring the US. So where is the charge? What has he done? The extradition clause, clearly, we must prove that the person has been charged. You haven't charged this person. We don't know what his offense is. And you, by your own statement, declare him a fugitive. A fugitive is someone who is actively evading law enforcement. And let's be clear. You can find this definition from any legal...
So the fugitive is problematic. How about wanted?
But he used fugitive.
Yes, so I'm saying that, so that's problematic, clearly from what you have read and from other authorities.
So we need to be clear that he is not a fugitive. Now, if you feel that he... So what is the difference between wanted? I don't know. This is English.
Wanted is you are looking for him,
then call him, he will come. Well, Kenneth Ofori-Atta has not said he will not appear before the OSP for interrogation. Look, I think the NPP and all the officers, they've made it clear that we will work with any state institution who wants to investigate anybody. In this particular case, the OSP got it wrong. He was just so sensational about the way he went on this, that it's as if Ofori-Atta is actively running away from justice, or he had escaped from justice. Ofori-Atta had informed the then chief of staff, had informed, I'm told, even the current chief of staff, that he was going to be out of town. When you contacted him, his lawyers dealt with you. How do you all of a sudden declare this person wanted? I believe that if the OSP wants to do his work well without emotions, he should go ahead, prepare his charge. Look, you don't need him. He can appear and not talk. He can appear before you and not talk. All right? And so if you have your information, if you have your figures, whatever information you have, and you think you can prosecute him, you can go ahead and charge him. In fact, you can even try him in absentia. One of the NDC, Sedinam Tamaklo. Yes, she is a proper fugitive. She is a proper fugitive. Why are we not talking about that? Because she went through the process and lied to the court that she was going to seek, was it medical attention?
She said she was sick, and that's the claim that she's still sick.
The court said, okay, that's fine. And the court gave her the opportunity to go and never return.
But she's still sick, that's all we hear.
Okay, well, we wish her well. We wish that she will recover to come and face justice. Now, this person is the person who can properly call fugitive, not Ofori-Atta, who has availed himself and said, look, I'm ready to come, talk to my lawyers, I'm going through this medical process. When I'm done, I'll come back. Look, the OSP must be condemned in no uncertain terms with the way he went about this. Look, in fact, this is very serious destruction of credibility of Mr. Ofori-Atta. It's been reported not only in Ghana, across the world. We've seen the BBC report. We've seen so many other news outlets carrying this. This person is not running away from the law. So why do you label him as a fugitive? He was so sensational. He was wrong in law. He had no basis to do what he did.
I see.
Now on the raid, because you gave me the opportunity to talk about it.
Let me play SP on the raid just to give you context. Okay, then you speak now. So this is Special Prosecutor Kise Jabin speaking about Ken Ofori-Atta as a fugitive, and also denying that the OSP raided his home.
Contractual arrangements between Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited and the Ghana Revenue Authority for the stated objective of the enhancement of revenue assurance in the downstream petroleum sector, upstream petroleum production, and minerals and metals resources value chain. 2. Termination of a distribution, loss reduction, and associated network improvement project contract between the Electricity Company of Ghana Limited and Beijing Xiaochen Technology BXC. 3. Procurement of contractors and materials and activities and payments in respect of the National Cathedral project. 4. Activities and payments in respect of a contract awarded by the Ministry of Health, initially commenced by the Ministry for Special Development Initiatives, to Service Ghana Auto Group Limited for purchases and after-sales service and maintenance of 307 Mercedes-Benz Sprinter 305 CDI ambulances for the National Ambulance Service. And 5, payments out of and utilization of the tax refund account of Ghana Revenue Authority. The purported medical letter transmitted by Mr. Ofori-Atta through his lawyers to the OSP represents a medical report to the effect that Mr. Ofori-Atta is incapacitated or is so sickly and invalid to the extent that he is physically unable to return to the jurisdiction without imperiling his life. No serious law enforcement agency, and certainly not the OSP, will be convinced that the purported medical letter stops it from demanding the physical appearance of Mr. Ofori-Atta before it in the described circumstances. We are of the firm conviction here that this is only a ruse employed by Mr. Ofori-Atta in aid of his intention to avoid returning to the jurisdiction. The purported medical letter transmitted by Mr. Ofori-Atta through his lawyers to the OSP represents a medical report to the effect that Mr. Ofori-Atta is incapacitated or is so sickly and invalid to the extent that he is physically unable to return to the jurisdiction without imperiling his life. No serious law enforcement agency, and certainly not the OSP, will be convinced that the purported medical letter stops it from demanding the physical appearance of Mr. Ofori-Atta before it in the described circumstances. We are of the firm conviction here that this is only a ruse employed by Mr. Ofori-Atta in aid of his intention to avoid returning to the jurisdiction.
All right, so that was the Special Prosecutor Kisija being laying out the reasons why he wants Ken Ofori-Atta, also casting doubt over the medical reports sent to him by the doctors or the hospital where Ken Ofori-Atta is seeking medical help, and also trying to talk about the raid on the house. So, yes, you wanted to speak on the raid.
Yes. So I think that for those of us who have listened, the OSP seem not to be aware, that is, because I want to give him that respect, not to be aware of the raid that had taken place. That is the only reason why the OSP could have said that the raid was staged. I mean, if you say something has been staged, it means you are trying to say that Ofori-Atta and his people tried to put this up in order to, as it were, gain some form of public sympathy. But really and truly, you know that the raid wasn't staged. The raid was an illegal act by these state agencies. In fact, what makes it even worse is the fact that people like Richard Japa, the gentleman who was facing criminal trial, who was just, saved by the Attorney General, could be the leader of the so-called group to raid the house of a former minister. I don't know who gave him that authority. I don't know. I'm told that he works with national security. Since when? Is it when the NDC came to power, when he was still facing these criminal charges, that he was made a member of the national security? I mean, I am shocked that we are building
but anybody could work at the national security. He's not a member of the National Security Council. But
he said he works as what?
That's what we have to find out.
We have national security agents.
But there are a lot of operatives there. So he could be one of them. He's not a member of the National Security Council.
This guy.
But he's a former military officer. So has some security expertise.
This guy was just saying he would have gone to jail. I believe.
No, he may or may have not. He may or you are judging him as guilty.
And he has the audacity to lead.
But he's an innocent man. An innocent man standing trial.
He has the audacity to go and raid Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta's house.
How about if he was under instruction?
Under whose instruction? That is what we need to understand.
Yes.
The majority leader has come to apologize.
Majority leader is not a security man.
We have security. So you are telling me that the majority leader is wrong, right?
Majority leader is not national security.
Majority leader is wrong.
It's not national security.
So majority leader came to apologize to the nation.
For the manner in which it was
yes,
done.
But it's not national security.
The whole thing was wrong. You cannot just raid anybody's house without court order.
But we don't know whether they are court order or not.
They should provide it. There's
Yeah,
no
so
court
they have to
order.
provide that.
That is why the majority leader came to apologize. This was illegal act that should not be tolerated. I don't know how any serious-minded person.
It should be the last. We're talking about radio.
No, I don't know how any serious-minded person would justify this illegal act done by this gentleman.
The last group of people to be talking about
please, we are building a nation. I keep saying you shouldn't allow this to happen.
You are the last.
Imagine you have kids at home and these groups come in the middle of the night to come and do what? Search for what exactly?
Didn't you join MPP at the time?
But they go there in the night. I thought it was in the morning.
Morning, night, or day. But what authority
did
he
be the one talking about?
Did they have a search warrant?
Do you know what your
did they have a search warrant
when you were in government?
Mr. Maliba,
do you know
did
what
they have a search
did?
warrant when they went to the house? You are a lawyer. You should condemn this in no sensitive terms. By what authority did they go to the house?
Or without a warrant? You know,
by what authority? By what authority did they go there? By what authority did they go there?
You can search with or without a warrant. You can search. You can arrest without a warrant.
When they started the oral, and we told you that don't allow this to start. We are going to be on this spiral. You people thought that we were wrong.
No.
We said that use the state's institution.
No, but oral, the oral thing is different.
It's different.
The oral is
because now the NEC feels that you can take the state institutions out and engage in anything.
That is a state institution.
But the national security no, but he works at the national security.
Who made him national security?
Do you have everybody's appointment letter?
When did he even join?
Do you have everybody's appointment letter?
And he's leading people to go and national security engage in this illegality. Proper national security will not do what Richard Japan in his
so are you saying that he doesn't work there?
That is why the majority there actually came to apologize.
No, he didn't apologize because he wasn't working there.
The whole thing was illegal.
Majority leader wants
the whole thing was illegal. How do you allow this to happen? Would you be happy? Would you be happy if your house get raided any time of the day?
You were happy when you raided Professor Mills' house. You were happy when John Jinapo's house was raided.
If it was wrong then,
you were happy when John Mekai's house was raided.
If you think
you were happy when people's houses were raided.
So
you were happy.
So be consistent, my brother.
You were
happy. Consistent. If you want to condemn what happened at that time, condemn what is happening now. Then we know that you are a consistent person.
I see.
You should be consistent in supporting it because you started it.
The apology has come from the majority.
And it looks like the NDC have a problem with the apology from the majority because my brother here saying that the majority leader is not a security person.
No, you asked the question. Who sent him?
No, you extended the scope of the apology of the majority leader.
You said that who sent him?
He said that the whole thing was illegal. The whole thing was illegal.
You asked the question. Who sent him?
There was no basis for them to have.
You asked the question. Who sent him?
House. The
man works in national security. He has bosses. So who sent him? The answer is his bosses sent him.
So his bosses sent him.
Majority leader. Majority leader doesn't control national security.
So his bosses sent him. So that is the position of the NDC. Let us know. So that it is the boss of the national security who sent Japan and Co.
Have they said they didn't send him?
Yeah, they should say it.
Have they said they didn't send him?
Oh, so far they haven't come.
Yes, so he's working under their instructions.
Okay,
so the silence should mean consent.
Yes, so then yes, this is what you voted for. You voted for people to engage in
illegality. You voted for people to clamp down. This is what you voted for. The people. You voted for. Oh yes, Ghanaians are happy
to raid homes of individuals.
Yes, this Ghanaians voted for. The end is to hold you people accountable. And they're holding you accountable.
This illegality and you call it. Is that what Ghanaians voted for?
John, somebody wants me to ask you whether you are just or you also.
No, he just joined MPP.
You're also condemning what happened in the past.
He just joined MPP. That's why.
I just joined MPP.
Yes, that's why you're making a statement.
He's been around trying to chase out the venerable Osechime's house.
But he will not be making those comments.
Trying to raid Osechime's house.
Under their time, it was more serious than this. What you are saying.
So then somebody wants to find out.
If it's wrong now, it was wrong then. Look, for me, as a Democrat, we need to play by the rules. We need to go according to the law. Look, and of course, as a constitutionalist, I believe that we must always play within the law. You cannot go to somebody's house without court order and expect that.
But you can arrest with or without court order. You are making it look like it must always be a court order.
The kind of raid. But you see,
you are making it look like it's a court.
So you went there to arrest him.
You can arrest. You can search.
So did they go there to arrest him?
These two things.
Did they go there
whether they went to arrest him or they went to search. Listen to me. Listen to me.
What was the basis?
Would you listen to me? Whether it was arrest or it was a search, they can do it with or without court order.
What was the basis?
So when you always come about and say the court order, how?
Let's play within the rules. I believe, to answer your listener, If it was wrong, if it's wrong now, it was wrong then. If in the same situation, I will not justify what happened in the past. Because look, we need, and as a country, we need to do better. We cannot be repeating the mistakes of the past. Otherwise, then we are not making progress. Okay, we need to grow.
Because the shoe is on another foot.
Oh, well, for me, I believe that we need to grow as a country. Okay, what we did 10 years ago, we shouldn't be repeating it. Otherwise, we are just marking time. We are not making any progress. But I believe that we need to make progress. Okay, we need to ensure that human rights of our people are protected. And let's not say that because you're an NDC person, it should never be said that because you're an NDC person, you support an illegality being done to an NPP person. And vice versa. We should also, as an NPP members, in 4 years when we come back, should never do this to any NDC person.
You've now mounted the high moral ground just because you are on the receiving end.
Will you say that the
special
special prosecutor delayed? Because Martin Kpebu and co have said that he delayed. Of course, I heard the answer from Nia Ikweotu that he couldn't have charged him when his government was in power because the AG could have stepped in and all of that. You side with people who are condemning the OSP for delaying in charging the gentleman.
Well, look, if you had this information all this while, because what he is telling us, there's nothing new about it. There's nothing new about it. You had this information all this while. What were you waiting for? And you're being paid to work. If you believe 6 months ago that there was some criminality, there's some form of corruption, then you should have brought the action. What were you waiting for? Unless the OSP has now realized that there was some illegality and now he's bringing this action. But I want to believe that, look, he had this information, and if he really wanted to prosecute, he would have brought it then. Look, and his office is, I believe, is so insulated, but the way it's couched, okay, from executive, interference, So he should have been very comfortable to bring in the action if he so believed in it.
But if he had started the action whilst Ken's government was in power, the AG could have stepped in. Couldn't the AG have stepped in?
And so let's say if he had done that last year, it would have been politically bad for the NPP. There's no way the AG would have stepped in, in my view, because it would have been politically bad for the NPP that a former member is being prosecuted by an office is set up and you are stepping in to, as it were, save the matter. So it would have been politically bad for the NPP, so that the NPP wouldn't have done it. And so for me, maybe now he has some new energy and feels that he can use it. But the way he's starting, I think that there's something that is not doing the right thing.
It only tells you that the security agencies are not independent and the state security apparatus are not as independent as we think. And so that was why, if he even wanted to have accosted Ken Ofori-Atta at that time, he couldn't have done it. Because, like Ayikotu mentioned, clearly there would have been some intervention on the part of this government. In some jurisdictions, these investigative bodies are independent. And that's why in South Africa, the sitting president can be investigated for what is called the Falafala case. You know about that case. In Ghana, our security agencies are still controlled by the executive. So that is the question, that's the answer to Martin Kpebu's question. And he must know this, he's my mate and he knows this, that it is difficult unless you have a president or you have an attorney general who is open-minded. But where you have an attorney general who is protective of his appointees and his colleagues, you can never have these things happen when the government is in power. This is the time that his hands are free, but this is also the time that, as we who are government appointees must also know that after he is done with the former executives, he will be coming after us.
And so after he is done, he can do so intermittently.
When he comes after us, I don't know what time he's going to come. But when wrongs are committed in our administration and he comes after people, we mustn't start calling him names. The fact that he's doing this because people voted for accountability doesn't mean that the accountability will not be extended to we who are in power today. And that's the question I want to give to our our appointees.
I see. Listeners and viewers have also been talking. Togbi Dobu says you can only make progress when you acknowledge the wrong you did in the past. Okay, so that's a continuation of the question that John Daku answered. This one says, a friend of mine teaching at Prempeh College slept with my wife, and after I informed his wife, he has never been able to say sorry to me or his wife. He always misbehaves towards me. Well, I wonder what the relevance.
This is sister.
No, I wonder what the relevance of this is. Good morning, the big issue. When will our government focus on the bread and butter issue that concerns majority of Ghanaians, rather than always focusing on a political elite? That's Yao in Achimota. Eko Ochiri from Shire Hill says, Selorm, John Daku is not being fair to Ghanaians. The MPP still doesn't know why they lost power. They are not telling the truth, which we can see through. What Godfrey Darwin did to Jakpa should have rendered him unemployed and disbarred. So these MPP, NDC politicians and their surrogates, all of whom claim to be religious, understand what their disingenuity and broad-day integrity bankruptcy will be horrifying on God's judgment day. Well, that's a question. That's a lot of big words. Alima Silva from New York says, Selorm, suddenly those who couldn't speak about wrongs perpetrated under the Nana-Addo government have found their voices once again. My question to them is, were they so much partisan and decided not to see the mistakes of the former administration, or they became timid for the fear of their lives? This is Alima Silva from New York. This one from Desmond from Community 25 says, I think the OSP is too emotional. Can the former minister sue the OSP office or the OSP for declaring him a fugitive while there is no case against him in court? Please ask Amaliba for me. Amaliba, that's a question of law for you. Yes, so basically these are the messages we have now. Keep them coming in on 020-444-7033 or 0549-986-996. This is the big issue. We will be moving to the next subject quickly, but just to wrap up the discussions on this. So what should the Office of the Special Prosecutor be doing? Now, he has declared a gentleman wanted, public backlash and all of that. John Daku, if you were in his shoes, what would you be doing from here?
Well, I think he should...
He should just go ahead and charge the gentleman? What should he do? Or should wait for him?
Well, I mean, look, the former minister is out there. He's in the hospital, as he's made us aware. If he feels strongly about the case, he can go ahead and charge him. But I believe that he can also wait. There's really no rush. As we said earlier, this case has been on his desk, I believe so, for months. I'm not sure he just came to see this case, so I'm not sure it will hurt to wait maybe 2-3 more months to get him to come and then listen to his side of the story. But as we said, you really don't need him to go forward because he can appear before you and decide that I will not talk. Constitutionally, he's not bound to give you any information. You have to put your case together, and if you want to charge him, you can charge him. So I think that they really need to come back on the fugitive label.
You think he has to apologize? What should he do?
I think he
if you see that he's a very knowledgeable man. He's criminal law. Yes. I mean, he's a good guy.
I know him. So. I know Casey very, very well. I think that he was in the wrong with the labeling. He should be able to come out clearly to say that he was wrong. Look, that's what makes us gentlemen. When you're in the wrong, you admit. Then let's start afresh. That look, you extend an invitation to him. You give him some time to come. If he doesn't come, you can go ahead and charge him. And I believe, if you feel strongly that after charging him, he's not coming, you believe that you need him, you can then proceed even to the US to get them to bring him. Otherwise, as it stands now, okay, without a charge, there's no way the US government will even entertain any extradition claim. It will not happen. As I read to you from the extradition clause of the U.S. Constitution, there has to be that charge against that person. And so far, he hasn't been charged. So there will be no basis to bring him. If you're really serious about bringing him, go ahead, charge him. Let's see. Based on that, then you can go to the U.S. and ask that he be brought down. But I believe that Mr. Ofori-Atta will not wait to be extradited once his health status improves, once the doctors give him the clear. He will come and really come and face whatever charges may be brought.
But what's I think about this. What's so not special, but we've seen a lot of finance ministers post 2000. We've seen Osafo Mafu, we've seen Baredu, we've seen, in fact, Akoto Ose as a minister for state. We have seen Dr. Dufo. We have seen Setekpe. All of these guys left office, and there was not so much noise around them. But this is Ken Ofori-Atta leaving office, and there's so much around him, even when he was in office. What's the matter? What's the matter with him?
Well, that's an interesting question. To me, I wouldn't know. I believe that the man tried to serve his nation. I think he was there for about 7 years or more. I don't think that any finance minister,
apart from Kwesi Botwe, I think they've just done 4 years.
Yes. Anybody stayed that long? Kufuor changed his ministers.
So you attribute it to the longevity?
The longevity obviously will come with a lot of issues. So I believe that may be the reasons. And a lot of people feel that he did some wrong things. I don't know.
And he even suffered it from his own party. The majority in parliament at the time wanted him out.
Yeah. Well, not because he had engaged in any criminal activity. That wasn't the reason.
They said he was making life difficult for them and they were going to lose
But I just
elections.
want us to put it very clear that the majority of the people in parliament wanted him out, not because he had engaged in any criminality, but because they felt that he wasn't managing the economy well. That was the reason, and that's why they wanted him to change. So let's make that.
But the majority in Akana politics at the time could not have said he had done anything criminally wrong, and it wasn't in their place even to say so. They just said that his actions were going to make them lose the election, whatever those actions were.
Well, they could have said so.
And making it difficult for them to defend the party.
They could have said so if they had the information and if they believed that he had engaged in any criminality. Well, it was the first time a group of parliamentarians had come out to say that one of their party members should be fired, right? So if they were bold enough to tell the president that fire your finance minister, I'm sure they would have said to the president, maybe prosecute him because we believe that he's engaged in criminality.
Upon hindsight, you think the president should have listened to them? Because some of the matters that are coming up now were post that call. So the SML matter, 2023, that's when we saw that. The ambulance matter also came a bit later. So do you think that if the president has heeded those calls, or Ken Ofori-Atta himself has said, okay, I've served my country, public service is great, I've done my bit, you don't want me anymore, I'm leaving, you think he could have saved himself a bit of the trouble?
You see, it's always better on hindsight to say that you should have done this, you should have done that. In the thick of the moment, when you're making decisions, it's always difficult. Look, the office of president is so huge. The weight of the office is so huge. You make a lot of decisions every time. Okay, so I believe the president should be, as it were, should be, pardoned. If he didn't let him go earlier than expected. On his own, well, I believe that he could have chosen to leave, but maybe he wanted to leave and the president wanted him there. There is also a possibility that the president says, look, Ken, don't leave me in the middle of this game. Stay till things are stabilized before you leave. Because you see, when the majority at the time called for him to be fired, one of the reasons we heard was the president said, look, wait for him to finish with the IMF negotiation and read the budget. I think there was something of the sort. So the president really needed him there. And look, like I said, when you're president, a lot of decisions you have to make. And some of them, on hindsight, we can say that, well, I should have done A, B, or C. But in the thick of the moment, it's always difficult. I think that the president did his best for the country. I believe that posterity will judge him right. Time will tell, the the 8 years administration of President Akufo-Addo. I think he did his best for the nation. And so we should wait and see what will happen hereafter. And let's also not assume that because the OSP has said he's investigating him on all these charges means that he's guilty. Like you said earlier about Richard Jakpa, innocent citizen, no criminality, has been found. He's going to defend himself, and in the end, the courts will have to make that call, will make that decision whether he was wrong or right. For all you know, the subject matter of this discussion, believed that it is good he stayed and that he did everything to save the nation.
I see. The people, so OSP is investigating on some matters. Can another independent body, another body, investigate him on the same thing? Would that be proper?
No, I mean, you cannot be charged twice with the same offense. Okay, so that's one of the bases of our criminal jurisprudence. So, and they are all state institutions. So, if one state institution is prosecuting him on the SML, no other state institution can do that. It will be the rule against double jeopardy that we have in our criminal jurisprudence. So he cannot be charged by any other state institution on the same offense.
I see. Mr. Maliba, so what should the OSP be doing now?
What should Ken Ofori-Atta to be doing now? It should be a two-pronged question. Yes. I think it is in his best interest, Ken Ofori-Atta, to just avail himself. Because I know that he's been taken ill for a long time. And when he was not even expected to come and read the budget, did he come to read it? Or what?
He didn't come.
He didn't come, but there was a time he came to read the budget. So he's
that was after he had come back from
he has been ill, and yet he's been doing his work. So I think that it is in his best interest to just avail himself, and if need be, he can now go back and then continue with his medication or treatment. I also think that if it's becoming difficult, the hospital says just send 2 investigators to travel and meet him there and interrogate him. I think they want to meet him personally or physically so that they can interrogate him, if that's where their interest lies. If not, we can also do it through the Zoom and WhatsApp. But we cannot stall the process just because his lawyers say he cannot come. That is what I do not want us to accept. That Ken Ofori-Atta says he's in the US, so he cannot come, the process must stop and wait for him till when he decides to come. That is a no.
Yeah, but the OSP could go ahead and do its work. He may not be here, charge him, do all of them.
No. But you must give the opportunity first.
Yeah, but if he's not taking the opportunity?
Yes, have you explored other opportunities? That's the exploration I'm talking about. Explore all opportunities. Don't let his lawyers go to court to try to set aside what you are doing because the rules of natural justice have not been met. So it is a two-pronged question. What you can be doing, what should the special prosecutor be doing? And I think they need to meet each other halfway. It is not also good publicity for Ken Ofori-Atta. And I heard John here say that BBC has even reported it. So it is not even good for him, for his image, having acquired that image through his own private life and now in government. So he must avail himself. The next thing is that we all know that Ken has questions to answer. Ken, during his time, did a lot of things that people couldn't even comprehend that a finance minister would do that. Take, for instance, the issue of the bonds, where his company was involved in this bond issuance. Take the big hole that they dug. My understanding was that the president, the cathedral thing, I don't know how many people are now there worshiping, but the issue was that they were not going to use public funds. He allocated funds at a time when Parliament had not approved of any funds to be allocated. So we all know that if you take public office, you must be ready to account. And I think that's what the majority leader said. We must all of us, when you take public office, you must be ready to account. So this is a day of reckoning for him. He could have decided to stay in his private business and this thing wouldn't have come to bite him. But once he has taken up the public business and doing work for government, he must be ready to account to the people. And this is the day of accountability. I do not think that Ken Ofori-Atta should conduct himself in such a way as to stall the process of investigation. He should bring himself out from where he is. He can come and go back. I'm sure when he comes, after taking the investigating and after interrogating him, he can go back and continue his work, his medication.
His treatment.
But I think that what we can do now is to also ask the OSP to not be quick to want to come to the public media. It's also time for his organization to employ a PRO.
So that he himself, of strategy,
so that he himself
and communications
should not be communicating to the public every now and then about what is happening. A PRO, I'm suggesting that will be the face of the organization when it comes to communication, and then he can come once a while to, as it were, iron out some challenges that maybe face his institution. Time has now come for him not to be speaking directly unless it is critical. Because I think that he has taken the work.
He feels, and on those instances he has come out, these have been big matters. So this, for example, I'm sure he wanted he himself to deal with those matters because he may consider them very big. The Cecilia Dapa matter, he dealt with it himself. Of course, Sami Dakun, who speaks for the office, does, after speaking, the man is not speaking, he does the interviews here and there. So maybe that's right. But so will you agree that his description of the man as a fugitive was extreme and was inaccurate?
The process of gathering information, investigation,
answer the question. Go straight and answer the question.
The process of gathering information, investigating and interrogating is part of the legal process. When they say you are a fugitive, you are running away from all these processes. To me, the description is appropriate. Because it is not always that when you say somebody is a fugitive, you don't know his whereabouts. People think that, and I heard them say, Chief of Staff, he told Chief of Staff, he told this person. No. The special prosecutor does not work towards the Chief of Staffs.
By the time he was leaving, he didn't know that you were investigating him for him to have come to you.
So I'm trying to say that
he had a good opportunity to travel.
John, I'm saying that it will not exonerate your argument when you say that he has informed the Chief of Staff.
Listen,
no, but
you have to support
it puts it in a good faith.
It's the law and facts we put together to come to a conclusion.
In the sense that he's not going anywhere. So in case you need him, he's around.
And I'm saying that the special prosecutor does not work towards the Chief of Staff for him to have known.
Okay, so the point is that the Chief of Staff doesn't know or wouldn't know that he has informed the Chief of Staff.
The special prosecutor would have known
that he's informed the Chief of
Staff. That's what I'm saying.
So the point is, he contacted the lawyers, and the lawyers were in communication. Look, somebody
John, let me talk.
Will not be communicating through his lawyers to you.
I don't like that. I can be disruptive.
Now you're in government. You have a lot of meat in your mouth.
No, bones.
You see,
you have bones.
You see, if the Chief of Staff was informed, was it the special prosecutor? No. So to the special prosecutor, we need this man. We are not getting him. And I'm saying that it's not always that when you say a person is a fugitive, you don't know his whereabouts. You know that he's somewhere, but just refusing to come down.
No, you see,
will you say that the fact that he has a health challenge and he has stated that clearly even through his doctors, will you say that he's refusing to come down? would that qualify to say that he's refusing to come down? He has a health challenge.
The special prosecutor placed a certain value on that document, and you heard him. And he said that, I don't believe that. It is his right. This matter is not yet in court. So if it were in court, this is what the special prosecutor would have been telling the judges. He will be persuading them, saying, no, I don't believe this. And that's why he communicated to us. It is within his right to say that this doctor report or medical report does not represent...
Did you say, okay, say doctor. I thought you said doctor.
No, doctor or medical report. Does not represent or does not convince me that this man cannot come down. It is his right to say that. And so, but I also think that what people are not happy about is the style of communication. And that's why I'm saying that some of these things, it doesn't matter how big they are. It is your institution. What if tomorrow you are not there? You can only come in to tie the knots. You know, that is why I think I'm advising he should have a PRO to deal with these matters. Yes.
I see. The question has also been asked about Sedina Tamaklo. She has been jailed by law, but she's not in the country. She's not coming. Is the government interested in bringing her down to serve her term?
I thought the previous government was doing that. And I've not heard the Attorney General saying that he's not going to continue that.
Is this something you encourage, that once the court has declared her, has jailed her or imprisoned her, declared her, convicted her actually, and sentenced her, all efforts must be made to bring her down?
It's not about what I want, it's about what the law says. And I've heard the previous Attorney General, particularly the Deputy, Tuya, the boss, say that they are going to do what they can to extradite him here to come and serve. Dr. Ayene, who has taken over, has not also said that I am not going to continue on that trajectory. So wait to see how it will turn out. Okay. That's the only answer I can give.
But can I make this point on this whole decision to label him as a fugitive? I'm saying that we need to really situate the facts, okay? It's when we situate the facts and the law, they can come to a certain conclusion.
But by the definition you are giving it from an American Constitution.
Yes. And it's clear. It doesn't... After that one, I'm not sure there's any doubt. I'm looking at the facts of this case. The OSP himself started this. He says that on 24th January, they communicated to Mr. Oforiatta that they considered him a suspect in respect of 4 cases. So 24th January, let's be honest with ourselves. You communicate with somebody from the 24th January. What's
about
the
2 weeks?
About 2-3 weeks.
2 or 3 weeks.
Okay, and the person communicates to you through the lawyer on 31st that I will not be available, and then you communicate on the 5th of February that you did not need, he said that on 5th February the OSP responded to Mr. Oforiatta that the OSP did not need or require notification from his lawyers of his arrival in the jurisdiction. So this is 5th February. Then I think there was another communication a week or so later. So within 3 weeks, you are communicating with the lawyers of this person, and from nowhere. I think even the day before he came out, he had received a letter from the lawyers of Mr. Oforiatta, labeling him a fugitive.
He's not looking for the lawyers. Have you noticed that? That's what he's saying.
So he's not looking for the lawyers.
But the lawyers represent him.
But he's not looking for the lawyers here.
Come on.
There's no...
Let's face it. There is no way you can convince anybody that this person
this is a criminal matter
from the law.
There's no vicarious liability here.
Very well.
This is a criminal matter. It must be the person.
A few more messages.
The person is the one they are looking for, not the lawyers.
This one says, my name is John. Where were you when Ken took our bonds and other things, Mr. John Dako? All right. This one from Toro in Lashibi says, why is MP John Dako lamenting about Oforiatta? Was he not in this country when Akufo-Addo jailed somebody who was on dialysis? I'm not sure about that. He should give us a break, yes. I'm not sure about jailing somebody.
No, one of the NCA guys.
On trial.
NCA guys.
That's Tevi.
Yeah.
Okay. But was he on dialysis?
Yes.
Okay, I see.
He was.
Master Planner Junior from Kintampo said the OSP should stop the camera
and even
show.
This man.
Sylvester Anemena.
No. Selorm.
Victor Selorm. That was long ago.
Yes, okay. But Akufo-Addo was a judge, a lawyer, Attorney General.
Okay. The OSP should stop this camera show and do his work if he wants President Mahama to maintain him. Well, President Mahama doesn't have to maintain him. The law will maintain him. He has a security of tenure for 7 years. I'm sure he's done 3 years, 4 more years or so for him to go. There are a lot of cases on his desk that he couldn't get rid of. Why now busy chasing someone based on allegations? If he has the powers to call someone back to Ghana, then he should instruct Sedinam Tamaklu. He should give us a break. All those institutions you are citing for allegedly involved in corruption have institutional heads. Call them to investigate them. All right. Who sent Jakpa to lead a raid at Kenofurate's residence? For me, I believe it's the commander-in-chief of the Ghanaian forces. This illegal act was orchestrated to appease NDC food soldiers. This is Kojo Smith from Cape Coast. You said Cape Coast. Okay, all right. I'm happy about the two gentlemen. You said you're happy about how the two of you are conducting yourselves. And how the host too, is moderating the show. So professional, very balanced. Keep it up, Channel 1 TV. Okay, that's proper for all of us.
John was trying to spoil it.
From Citizen Francis, Attorney General Dominic Ayini's justification of dropping the cases due to his prior involvement as defense counsel is unacceptable. It sets a dangerous precedent where personal interests override the pursuit of justice. The Attorney General's role is to uphold the law impartially, not to protect his former clients. The abuse of power erodes trust in our institutions and undermines democracy. From Citizen Francis. All right. This one says the OSP is too emotional. Can the former minister sue the OSP office? Okay, I think we've dealt with that. All right. So we'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll look at the revocation of appointments by that letter sent by the Chief of Staff to all persons purportedly employed or appointed after December 7. This is the big issue. Don't go away.
Are you ready for the road trip of a lifetime? All is set to explore 14 amazing regions of Ghana on the Heritage Caravan 2025.
If you want to come to Basu, see the dancing and write your name.
Dive deep into the rich Ghanaian culture through the food, the music, the history, and the captivating traditions. From the 2nd to the 9th of March 2025, you will experience the road trip of a lifetime. Build connections, network, and share unforgettable memories with fellow adventurers.
You have done half of the way. You have half more to go. How are you feeling? How are you feeling? Okay, I'll never do this again.
So this is a grand entry into the water for a hot afternoon bath.
The Heritage Caravan will smoothly drive through the Greater Accra region, Eastern, Volta, Oti, Northeast, Upper East, Northern, Savannah, Bono East, Ahafo, Ashanti, Western North, Western and Central regions. Throughout the 8 days on the road, groove to authentic live band music on the wheels with the melodic Inchin Chin Band. The Heritage Caravan 2025 will be fun, educative, refreshing, and most of all, remarkable. Stay updated. Follow all Channel 1 TV and 97.3 City FM social media handles for updates and join the conversation with the hashtag Heritage Caravan 2025. The Heritage Caravan 2025 is powered by Channel 1 TV in partnership with the Ghana Tourism Authority with support from 97.3 City FM and proudly sponsored by the National Lottery Authority, Hollard Insurance, Omni Basic Bank, Goyle PLC, GB Foods, Standard Water, Apollonia City, and Beaver Beverages. Terms and conditions apply.
Yeah, welcome back. This is a big issue. Final lap of the program. We use the rest of the time to deal with this matter of revocation of appointments. A number of people were employed into the public service after December 7. December 7, if you recall, was the election day where Ghanaians voted. By 8th or 9th, we knew that the NDC had won the election. But per our constitutional arrangement, just after losing the election, you don't go home. You have about 1 month to tie things together in a process called transition, so that on the 7th of January, you hand over power to the next government. Now, a number of appointments, they say about thousands of appointments were made into the public services after December 7. Indeed, after the MPP government knew that it had lost power, it employed several people into the public service. During the transition, this matter came up, and we recall the spokesperson on the NDC side of the transition, Felix Ofosu-Kwakye, issued a statement to say that they were calling on everybody to relax, to stay put, and not to engage in those employments. Fatima Abubakar, who was information minister and spokesperson on the other side, indeed, Felix had said they had agreed that those things be stopped. Fatima said no, there was no such agreement, and that government was legitimate, and it will expire December 6, midnight. And so it appears that things went on. Now, the NDC further said that if they came, they were going to review all those appointments. Just this week or late last week, the chief of staff, in a memo to heads of institutions, said all those appointments made post December 7, which did not find their names or which did not find themselves on the payroll of January 2025, should be made to go home, or they should be revoked. And that has set tongues wagging. The Nurses and Midwifery Council, for example, has said, or the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association has said that they will drop their tools or put down their tools if that instruction is carried out, because they need their professional colleagues to help them work. Other people have said quite a number of things, and so that is the matter. I started with you, Amaliba. I mean, these are Ghanaians who have been employed. Why should a government make them go home because of the time they were appointed? In any case, the NPP was a legitimate government post December 7 and prior to January 7. Why should they be made to go home? Ghanaians.
Why would the government also do such massive recruitments within that short time when they had 7 years to have also done those recruitments? Is it that they did those recruitments so as to burden the next government with finances? That is to say, to ensure that the finances of the administration that they are coming to, the finance of the country will be difficult for them to pay these people? And when the matter was raised at the transition team, you saw that the MPP were resisting that attempt to stop them from recruiting. The question is, there were some of the appointments, and we had the NDC side, that didn't go through proper process. These are the people that I think the NDC would be dealing with, where your appointment didn't go through proper processes. No interview, they just call you, go and take your letter, call you, go and take your letter. No aptitude test. We found that in some cases. They were in a mad rush to employ persons affiliated to their government. And so they didn't even go through those aptitude tests. They didn't go through the processes. We had all those. This December 7th to January 7th recruitments are fraught with challenges. And that is why this government says that let's pull the brakes, let's interrogate it. Those who were employed in accordance with law will be allowed to go, but those who were picked because of their affiliation to the MPP may have to suffer because they didn't go through the real process. So whether you are NDC or you are MPP, you must go through the right process to be employed. That is a given. But if you have a government that decides that I am leaving, but I will handpick my people and put them in, they would have to suffer this fate, because process is as important as the substance. It's not just about getting the job, but are you qualified to be where you are? So this is not witch hunting. This is to ensure that the right things are done. So this 7th December, 7th January employments are to be investigated. And when the results are that you didn't go through the process, then you'll be kicked out. Even here in your studios, if people don't go to the right channel and be employed here, a next administration will come and say, look, you are not qualified to be here. And the favoritism was what was used to employ some of them, where people were not made to go through aptitude tests, didn't go through any interview, didn't go through the proper channel to be brought in. So they will be removed. And those are the people who will suffer. But those who went through the right channel have no problem.
So even the December 7 to January 7 instruction is not blanket.
Yes.
We'll have to sort it.
Sort it out. So where is he getting that from? That it's not blanket.
Because yesterday I heard when the nurses.
Their statement
wait.
The statement from Chief of Staff letter.
Yesterday.
Maybe but he's in government. Maybe proud. Maybe subsequent.
Yesterday, you heard the Minister of Health make a similar suggestion that the nurses shouldn't think that it's everybody who is going, but people were simply employed without going through the proper checks. So those are the people who we are dealing with. And for me, because much of that happened during the 7th December and 7th January thing, people are thinking that it's just about all of them.
Because we know some began the process as far back as July to get into the system. And so they could only get their letters.
So there's no problem with that. But those we will also know were handpicked would just go and take your letter and go in. Go and take your letter and go in. Are the people that we think that, and they did a massive recruitment during this period with such methods. Such methods are not acceptable.
I see. Does that explanation provide some relief
I'm
for
sure.
you?
And I hope that my brother, I think we don't have much time.
But I did hear Minta Kando yesterday explain on CNR.
First of all, let me ask him, how many people have been recruited, or how many people were recruited between this period?
Did I call for that records?
So you don't know. Okay, so first of all, we need to know. You see, when we hear massive recruitment, huge numbers, a lot of people.
Will you be surprised if, let's say, 1,000 people were employed into the public services within that 1 month?
Well,
would that be massive for you?
1,000 people, I'm not sure would be massive. Look.
But you don't employ 1,000 people in a month, any day.
No, but
and just within that 1 month.
Across the public sector.
Public sector. 1 month, you don't employ 1,000 people.
Well, you don't know how they do the employment, okay? For me, when you tell me that there was a massive, and that's what you are using, massive employment.
So massive will mean how many to you?
For me, when you go beyond 10,000, that is massive.
That's massive.
That is massive. So they should tell us, because you know why it is important. One of the arguments is that it's going to be a burden on the public purse. So if in the end, my brother, let's say, listen to my argument, if in the end it's about 300 people, would we say that it's justifiable to fire these people because 300 people add into the public?
But they must go through the process.
I will come to that.
They must go through the process.
You have people. Would you say that is burdensome? That wouldn't be burdensome. So for us to be able to properly interrogate the issue, they need to give us the numbers. If it's 2,335, give it to us so that we can really look at, okay, how much are these people being paid vis-a-vis the budget, and whether or not
how about the process?
I'm coming to the process. So first of all, we need to understand that we need to get the numbers to be able to make that conclusion. Two, I believe that if you surpass the process of employment, then of course the government will be right in saying that we don't want you to continue. So he is saying, for instance, if you did not go through, if you have to write aptitude test, if you have to apply, you didn't go through all of that, there will be no basis. They will not even have any records of you to employ you in the first place. But the letter we received did not give us any indication of whether the termination will cover such people. Look, and maybe for just 2 minutes, let me read a part of the letter to you. It says that consistent with government pronouncement in relation to near end of tenure appointments and recruitment, I wish to bring to your attention that all appointments and recruitment made in the public service of Ghana after December 7 are not in compliance with good governance practices and principles. What good governance practices and principles are they talking about? Look, we are a country of laws. We have to work within the law. When you tell me that the recruitment violates, let's say, the particular provision, then I'm going to look at that provision and say, oh, wow, well, they made a recruitment, and that recruitment violates Section 3 of this Act. Okay, but if you decide that in your view there's a particular good governance practice and principle which was not adhered to, and so the appointment should be terminated, I say you are in the wrong. Because this letter is a blanket revocation of all persons who were employed from 7th December to 7th January, irrespective of when you started the process, irrespective of whether this person, okay, was asked to come and take the letter, probably he couldn't take it, irrespective of the process the person has gone through. The letter says that once your appointment starts from 7th December, but 7th December, we were conducting an election on that day. Who knew the MPP was going to lose or win? So somebody gives you a letter on the day of it, because we were working. Offices were open, isn't it? So somebody gives you an appointment letter, and you are saying that because we were having an election on that day, the appointment should not be, valid. Look, we have the Transition Act. We have our Constitution. When you want to tell me that a particular appointment violates the law, point me to the Constitution, point me to a section in the Transition Act.
Our good governance and good conscience. You are leaving, so you just
what is
flood
good
the place.
governance and good conscience?
You are leaving. Something you couldn't do. You flood the place with a lot of
Flooding
people.
by what?
So
Again, you don't have the figures
we're
to talk
asking
about
for
flooding.
them. We're asking for the numbers.
So it's not like journalists, you need to be very careful.
We're asking for the numbers.
Before you start quoting them, you need to have
but that's what they have said. So if
can you call them flooding the public service?
So you have given us your description or your definition of massive. So assuming the massive they are using, tallies with your definition, that's massive. Massive employment into the public services within that, and that will
massive can be determined by yearly recruitment, and if your recruitment exceeds those yearly recruitment, it's massive.
So I'm saying, I think
I'll tell myself.
Okay, yeah, sure. So just to conclude that, look, for me, because we are all law-abiding citizens, let's work within the law.
Very well.
And so if you want to terminate somebody, go through the right process. But
very well.
But those who have been unlawfully terminated, they have recourse to the law, because our Supreme Court has made a dissemination on this that is unlawful.
That's if they went through the right process.
Yes,
very
yes.
well.
It will be unlawful for them to have been terminated, and those people will have their day in court.
Very well. This is how we conclude today's edition of the program. My name is Selorm Adonoo. Thanks so much for doing the listening. Have a good afternoon.